All right, good morning. How's everyone doing today? I think I got like 2 people on that, so I'll try again. Good morning.
Morning.
How's everyone doing today? Good. All right.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. We're going to go ahead and get started.
This is a test.
Get started.
Could someone write down 29 seconds for me?
Forcibly broke silence.
Did someone write that down? 29 seconds?
Yep.
Anyone?
Got it.
Got it. Thank you. All right. So you're here for motivational interviewing training. We're going to talk about some of the basics, just practice some skills. We're going to cover some of the primary core skills. After we talk about what it is, we'll talk about some of the processes of how you practice those skills and then what the benefits are. Why would we bother doing something like this? So my name is Stephen Freeman. There are some letters after my name if that interests you. I'm currently the Associate Director of Clinical Services here at the Raresburg site. So I oversee all of our clinical services from detox all the way down to our outpatient programming. My background professionally, I was in medical adjacent fields for several years. I worked in recreation and activity therapy up in Alaska. This is not a real picture, but this was my office for a couple years. And currently, for the last several years since I finished my licensure, I've been working in substance use and mental health counseling. A little more about what we're going to do today. What I hope you take away from today is an invitation. So what we're going to talk about today is an invitation for you personally into a different way of connecting with people, as well as the skills that are helpful in how to invite others into meaningful connection with you as you're doing services, and even in your own personal life. These principles are things that I use in my life every day to connect with other people because it's a way that we've been given the opportunity to connect with. So we're going to start with some very simple questions. Just going to go around the room. Whoever wants to start us off, we'll just go around in a circle from there. So just tell me who you are, what agency or agencies you work with, what brought you here today, and what you're hoping to gain from this training. And please keep your answers relatively short. We don't have time to get into everybody's life story as much as I'd like to do that. So whoever would like to start us off.
Hey, I'm John Arkin, also known as JJ. I work for Southwark Health Center in Carlisle, Mechanicsburg. I help coordinate their MIND program. I've taken one of these trainings a couple of years ago, and I feel like I'm forgetting some things, so it's nice to have a refresher course and maybe you get back to basics.
Thank you, JJ.
I'm Ashley Rudy. I work for the Pennsylvania Opioid and Addiction Abatement Trust. I'm a CRS. I am also a board member at a family recovery center in Wormleysburg. And I wanted to come today to, like he said, a refresher. I've taken this course before. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Thank you, Ashley.
My name is Janine. I work for Neiman Center Teen Challenge. I'm the outreach person for Lebanon, Dauphin, Cumberland, and Perry counties. I'm a certified recovery specialist, a certified mental health coach, and a certified forensic peer specialist. And I'm here because I've never had this training before, and also because I work here.
Thank you, Janine.
Good morning, my name is Jenny Payne. I work for New Tomorrow. I am their recovery house coordinator. I'm also a CFRS. I love this motivational interviewing. It does wonders on the job. And I like what you said, to connect with people in personal connection with myself. So I'm glad to be here. That's all.
Thank you, Jenny.
My name is William. I work here in the outpatient center up there, and I am here because I wanted to learn more about motivational interviewing, because I've done a little bit with it and want to just kind of refresh my knowledge of that so I can use it with clients.
Thank you, William.
Peter Anderson, I'm with Water Street Mission. I'm here to gain more skills that I can be using to connect with people, and also to learn more about this ministry here. And that kind of loops in with the last question too.
Mhm. Wonderful. Thank you, Peter.
My name is Matthew Solt. All the things that Peter just said. Senior life coach in our men's residential program, Water Street Mission, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and yeah, just happy to be able to gain another skill. I haven't done a motivational interviewing lesson before. I also know as I'm heading back to school, this is one of the things we're going to be learning in my class as well, and so it's kind of a little precursor to all of that. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Matthew.
I'm John Richard Meza. I am the life coach supervisor at Water Street Mission for the men's residential program. It's a big coincidence that we're partaking this class. We just wanted to come and connect to Teen Challenge, learn more about what all goes on here, because we do partner in many different ways with Teen Challenge and Lemon Center. And so we're just blessed to kind of be here for this as well, because it fits exactly with what we do at Water Street as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, John.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm a social worker at Water Street Mission, and I feel like when you're in school, everyone tells you like you gotta get motivational interviewing training. So I'm grateful to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Margie. One of the social workers at Water Street Mission, and I am here because I have never taken this training before, and I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Margie.
I'm Heather. I'm with Water Street Mission. I'm here just to refresh. Also here because I wanted a tour to see like what Teen Challenge was, and quite frankly, was happy to get out of the office.
It's a good excuse. Thank you, Heather.
I'm Roberto. I'm a social worker also at the Water Street Mission. For me, it's a refresher to have taken motivational interviewing. And I was curious to know, Teen Challenge, because we had a lot of people we sent here. And it's good to know where they come.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Roberto.
My name is Ron. I'm a senior life coach, and I'm a little boisterous. I was sideswiped with this training because I just came up here to take a tour at Teen Challenge.
Surprise, you're going to gain something.
And God blessed me to be able to get some tools to use for what the work we do at Water Street. And I was bored here in a minivan. And, and I'm hoping to gain some good skills to be able to better do the job that we do at Water Street Mission. Like you said, we send a lot of people here. Social workers are awesome. Team is awesome. Supervisor for putting this together. It's a lot, and I'm excited to be fed, and hopefully I can feed.
Wonderful. I do. Yeah, thank you, Ron. And we're going to skip around to the back. So there are a few people that were missed. We'll start back there.
I'm Brian Cook. I'm a part of the team here. My role is with advancement, so raising awareness and recovery and support for the ministry. And as Steve said, I think connecting, no matter what our role is, connecting with people is a good thing to understand.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
My name's Kevin. I work in the IT and marketing department, and I work for Ascend Ministries. I'll do this.
Thank you, Kevin.
My name is Matt. I also work here. Stephen was my boss for a while, and he implemented many of these tactics on me when I would go to his office. So I'm excited to learn more about it so I can do it with somebody else.
Wonderful. Thank you, Matt.
Hi, I'm Cassandra. I am with A New Tomorrow, our organization. We're going to have a table here today, so if you all would like to check that out and have any questions, comments, or just anything, want to know anything more about what we do, I feel honored to be here, so thank you kindly for having me. It's a blessing I can sit in on this training as well. I have had the training in the past, but I hear great things about you, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to spit out to us.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Cassandra. Well, I'm encouraged to hear that several of you are familiar, at least somewhat familiar. You've heard of motivational interviewing before, so hopefully you'll gain something new today. And for those of you who've never had it, you're in for a treat. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We'll have some fun today. We'll get to practice some things together and just walk away with something more than we gained, or walk away with something we've gained that's more than what we came in with. So, to start, if you, I found out a little bit recently that I have a little less time today than I had anticipated. So if you have questions, I would encourage you to write them down. I'll try and pause periodically to collect all those questions, but we won't unfortunately have time to do questions in the middle of some of the content. So that is a big help for me to do that, so thank you. And then we're going to go through several exercises, some experiential, some more demonstration. I would encourage you to invest in the way that you're comfortable and feel safe to invest. If at any point you don't feel safe continuing an exercise, consider this your informed consent that you're able and absolutely willing to step away if you need to, or to do anything that is going to help take care of you. All right. At the risk of violating one of the expectations I just set, does anybody have short questions for me before we jump into this? Okay, fantastic. In that case, I'm about to ask for 2 volunteers to come join me up here one at a time. Before I ask for those, I'm going to ask all of you, as we're going through this demonstration, to consider a client that you've worked with fairly recently, ideally someone that has used or been involved with substance use, and to picture, as we're going through this demonstration, what their responses might be to some of the things that I'm asking, some of the questions, some of the portrayal of how I'm interacting with them, how I'm connecting or not connecting with them. Fair enough? Okay. So, can I have my first volunteer? Anyone who's willing to portray a client that you've worked with that has been involved in substance use. Come on up, Ron. JJ, I'll get you next, JJ.
No worries.
Have a seat.
I'll sit down when I'm ready. Told me to do it, right? Let me get started.
So we got a bunch of questions to get through today. Okay, so we're just going to have to keep up the pace. I got like 3 other clients that I got to get to after you. So, what substances are you currently using?
I'm a trash can. I use a little bit of everything.
Everything. What? Can you just tell me what those are?
Coke, dope, weed, pills, alcohol, smoke cigarettes. And I'm a diabetic. I take a lot of sugar.
A lot of sugar. Okay. I don't really care about that one so much. It's more the substances. About how much of those do you use?
A lot every day.
A lot every day?
Yeah.
Like, if you had to put a number to it?
I can't put a number to it.
Okay. How often do you use? And what is there like a specific day that you use, or is it?
I use every day.
Every day.
And I enjoy it. And heroin was my drug of choice.
You said you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like getting high. It takes me away from all of the life issues that's going on.
Okay. I mean, all right. So when was the last time you used?
2 minutes before I came in his office.
Okay. You know our policy about you're not supposed to use before you come in, right?
Well, what y'all want to do? Throw me out?
Well, that's our policy. So.
Well, I'll go back out on the streets and live there.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
You got to figure it out. I know what I'm going to do.
How much money do you spend on substances every week?
I don't. I sell drugs, so I don't have to spend no money.
Okay. You know that's illegal?
Yeah, I know it's illegal.
Have you
doing it until they catch me?
Oh, you probably shouldn't have told me that. Have you ever failed treatment before?
All the time.
All the time? About how many times?
Enough.
When was the last time? What year was it?
I came in. This year.
This year, okay, this year. Why haven't you stopped using yet?
I don't want to go through the pain of not having the drug.
Okay, so the withdrawal symptoms, all the...
Oh, yeah, I don't like them.
Yeah, all right. Do your family members complain about your behavior?
Of course,
Yeah. Okay.
They love me. They don't want me to be out here using drugs.
Are you employed right now, yes or no?
I'm self-employed.
Self-employed. That's great. Have you lost jobs because of your substance use?
Every last one of them.
Okay. Have you lost jobs because of your substance use?
Every last job that I had, I lost because of substance abuse. Being late, not showing up. If I'm going through withdrawals, I'm not coming, you know?
Okay. Are you taking your medications correctly?
I'm not on medication.
No, I mean,
I'm on illegal medications, but I'm not on prescribed medication.
I mean, I have here that you're on like 3 of them, so you're not taking those at all?
No, man.
Okay. Have you been diagnosed with any mental health disorders?
No.
No. Do you understand that your choices are harming your health?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But you're still not like...
Not concerned about it.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to get high until the day I die.
That might be soon. Have you been arrested or...
Wait a minute. That is unprofessional for you to say something like that to me, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm just doing the review.
What you just said is unprofessional. I need to talk to your supervisor.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
And I never said I'm going to die soon. That is not...
I didn't say you would die soon.
No, you said that's going to happen. What'd you say? That could be soon.
It could be.
Yeah. So
yeah, it could be soon for me. A plane could fall to the sky right now.
You was directing it to me.
Well, yeah.
It's unprofessional.
Okay, you can talk to my supervisor when we're done. I got to finish this.
I don't even want to do it no more. I need to talk to somebody else. I'm not doing it.
So you're not willing to continue this?
Nope, I'm not.
That's great. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you can leave.
Hey, yo, and that's the type of people I deal with every day.
Thank you for your willingness.
Do you want to finish the questions or?
I think I dropped something.
Is that okay?
Yeah. No, we're done. Yeah.
Hey, yo, that's the type. Am I lying, y'all? No. God bless. Have a good day. And to be openly, that was me almost 20 years ago. Talking to somebody, talking to the guy that's in the chair that I sit in now, talking to other people. God is good.
Amen.
That's right.
Thank you, Ron. JJ, I think you volunteered.
I'm not afraid, but I can't.
Well, at least now everybody knows.
I like
you can, bro.
Well, I like both of these because never mind. I think your questions are just like the doctors ask.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yep. How are you doing today?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. My name's Steven.
Hey, JJ.
JJ, nice to meet you, JJ. So we've got some things to work through. We'll get there in a minute. First off, if you could talk to me a little bit about what brought you in today.
I need to be on some kind of an MAT because I can't keep going back down to Philly.
Down to Philly. Okay, so there's something struggling with you down in Philly.
Well, yeah. Every time I go to Philly, I get high, and that's every day, just about.
Every day. Yeah. Okay. And you said you're interested in MAT.
Yeah. I'm looking to. I gotta stop using the dope.
Gotta stop using the dope. Okay.
And the meth.
Dope and meth.
Pretend I have a girlfriend here beside me that's picking.
Okay.
Yeah, and never mind.
Okay. So you have people in your life that care about you that.
Well, I think that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, she does. We've been together forever now, about 10 years. I'm gonna get clean. She's gonna get clean. That kind of thing.
Okay. So you're invested together.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, baby. No. There's nothing over there. Okay.
Yeah. So you said you're interested in MAT. Can you tell me what other people have told you about MAT?
Well, I've been on Suboxone before. Never been on Sublocade, but it seemed to work better for me a couple years ago.
Okay. So it was successful a couple years ago, the Suboxone?
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you know about Sublocade?
It's an injectable. I got it in my stomach before, and it lasts all month long.
Okay. And you think that'd be more sustainable for your goal of trying to...
Maybe so, because it seems like I use the Suboxone for a little bit, and then I just kind of trail off.
Okay. So you found that Suboxone has been a struggle, but you're interested in pursuing it.
We both have jobs. We were originally from Philadelphia, but we moved up here to get away from everything. But yet every single day I get in my car and I go down there and I get a few bags to get me through the day.
Yeah, you still have access. Yeah. Okay. So where are you working now?
Oh, I work for a manufacturing plant. They make metal fabrications and stuff like that. Yeah.
So you're skilled with your hands?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. Wonderful. And what brought you out of Philly?
I thought I was going to die if I stayed.
Okay. So the use has gotten to a pretty severe
right,
progression.
so I'm up here. So when I make that trip down, I don't get as much. I don't usually go down 2 times in a day. Usually
Okay.
just once a day, and it gets me through. So.
Okay. About how often do you go down 2 times in a day?
When I can't get what I want the first time, then I have to go back down a second time, and it's just getting too much.
Yeah.
You know.
Sounds like it's expensive and it's taxing on you to go down there.
It is.
Hmm.
It is.
Yeah. What are some of those costs?
Meaning?
You said it's taxing. It's draining for you to go down there. I mean, sometimes twice a day.
Because I have to go down there and I got to come back and I have to go. Usually I don't go until after work, and then I got to make sure that because now I got my dope and I know I don't want to go to sleep, and then I got to get up the next morning and go to work, and I got to save a wake up, and because if I don't have anything for the morning, then that whole day, then I have to call off work and we're going down anyhow. So yeah, and then plus the money, the gas, tolls, cigarettes. Always cigarettes. Yeah, and everything else.
There's a lot of stuff packaged in that process for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not from this area. Like I said, we just moved up here not that long ago.
Okay. So you're fairly new to the area and you haven't quite connected with some of the resources that you would need to accomplish your goals yet.
Yeah, this area is boring too. Like, Philly just, it's always something going on, day or night, especially where we go to. Ain't that right? No. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And so the attraction down there is not only the substances, but also the lifestyle and the enjoyment.
It's always jazzy. It's always something going on. Doesn't matter if it's 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning, something's always popping.
Okay. And you haven't quite filled that connection here yet?
No. We go to work, we come home, we're together all the time, except for work. She works at she cleans houses.
Okay. And that is interfering with her schedule as well a little bit?
Yeah. As you can see, she probably has been asleep a little bit, but she'll be all right.
Okay.
We'll get through this day too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just need Suboxone so I can, that's what I need.
Suboxone.
Yeah, that's what I need.
And you said you're considering Sublocade?
Oh yeah, at some point. Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
So.
And it's okay. Yeah. And what are some of the things that you've tried to engage in for fun up here?
Fun? You mean like hobbies?
Yeah. You said you go down to Philly partially for the substances, but partially because there's a life down there that you enjoy living.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I said, there's always something going on, so something's always jumping off or getting, or just I don't know. I haven't really done anything up here. I don't really have much hobbies. I like getting high, but I think that's interfering. But I really haven't worked that all out in my head yet. Yeah.
So you're feeling bored up here, but you haven't really tried anything yet to find out what you could do.
No.
Okay. So you have constructed some of your life around going down to Philly, both because it's enjoyable, you have a life down there, you have things that you enjoy doing, but also for the substances that you are really committed to moving away from because you know that it's interfering with some of your work, some of your relationships, and some of the goals you have for yourself for the future. And you're not sure yet how to go about that. Suboxone or Sublocade might be a good first option to explore that. And you're here because you want to figure out what's next.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So I was wondering if you're willing, if we might talk a little bit more about Suboxone and Sublocade, some of the differences, some of the benefits and costs of either one. Okay. And then also, if you're interested, I could give you some resources for some things that might help you engage in the community that we have up here.
I mean, yeah, sure. I'll take it.
Okay. All right. And we can do that today.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do I get my Suboxone?
All right, let's give a round of applause for our participants up here. All right. So what differences did you notice between those two?
Well, definitely the first one was, I could hear the judgmentalness the whole way, and it didn't even come out. Your inflection was flat, but it was written all over it. And the questions are so standard. So I hear this, like, when's the last time you used? How much do you use? I mean, I know these are sorry, I'm trying to look at it. I know these are questions that are needed for the forms and the compliances, whether you COE or FHQHC or patient-centered medical home or all that. I know all these questions have to be answered, but they're just getting so dry and tired. I mean, you know, when did you first start to use, you know, when did you first use? I mean, I remember hearing that question. I mean, what, substances or other things like storytelling? I was a great storyteller when I was like 6. I thought weave you a fantasy that you believe, and I believe too, for that matter. I mean, these are just, the questions are so tired anymore, and they don't accomplish anything except they check the boxes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, your reply to him that you saw, he said, you know what, I'm out. Deuces. And he didn't even get it. I got spotted. You did.
The reason I didn't get them because I already had them. I told you I
He did. Yeah.
He didn't get them to you. I would've told you.
He already got them. Yep.
But like to piggyback on him, like most of the time a patient that comes in like I did, I'm hostile. I feel like you're the system and you're out to get me.
Yeah.
But I'm so far up into my highness that I'm telling on myself and I'm just spewing out the truth about me. But it's not good for me to get what I'm standing in front of.
No, because it puts you further and further back from our relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when I said I'm gonna die getting high, and you said it might be soon, I really got offended. No, I didn't. But a person would get offended. You see how I stopped and say, hey, wait a minute, and we deal with people like that every day. You ain't supposed to know my personal, or you know what I mean? We had a guy recently with a hospital note that he dropped and it was given back to him through somebody else. And he said, it is personal information. And we have access to everything.
Oh, the chart. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep. Good. Thank you both. Anyone else? Anything you noticed? Distinction, similarities?
You spent the first time looking at the chart and the form, the second time you were looking eye to eye.
Yeah, I was focused on what my task was, not the person sitting here who has needs.
I think too, there's I was thinking with the analogy of thermostat and what's that? Thermometer. Whereas in the one environment, you kind of just basically, you're not helping the situation. The guy is hostile, but the approach kind of feeds into that. Whereas in the other one, you put the person at ease, and it's more of a person-to-person conversation rather than this hostile standoff, basically, situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily task-oriented like the first one. It was intending to connect as the priority. Yeah. Peter?
The difference was your style, not in the people, because if the roles had been reversed, the outcome would have been different.
Very identical, or similar at least. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. William, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was also thinking that even though it was not task focused in the second one, I think you actually got more information than in the first one. Even though that was not the intention. I think maybe they wanted the exact details for like the form. You actually ended up doing a better assessment through not asking the assessment questions.
Yes. So not only did I gain, if not all of, at least most of the information that I would have gotten, I also got something really important that we miss in, as JJ, you mentioned, very specific questions. I missed the context. In that first session, I didn't care about context. In the second one, I got more of the context of why he did some of the things that he did that gives me an understanding of what his actual needs are, not what they seem like.
And
Margie.
In the first one, you were focusing on completing that assessment. And a lot of the time in sessions, we want to complete the assessment.
Yeah, we have a deadline.
We don't see the real problem in the situation, and we are not working in empathy. It's just we need to complete this because this is the clinical part.
As a matter of fact, that was the first statement out of your mouth. Hey, we have a lot of questions to get through.
Yep.
And then, oh, you're like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, and that sets him off knowing, oh, we're just going to be question and answer. It's an interrogation, right, at that point.
That's
Also because he was telling him as well, like, I'm on the time, I need to see other people, so it was rushed. So I feel like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of like push me in a corner of time. And then you was asking questions like that, and that's what made me. It's like blue, red, black, brown. You know, like bing, 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 bing.
It does.
And
yeah, and it puts you in that position. Yep, and sometimes we do that, right? We feel crunched for time. Maybe our last session pushed into this one, and we sit down and we know, oh, this guy's the talker. This guy's the one that I ask a single question, he gives me half an hour worth of content. I got to limit him so that I can get done what I need to, completely setting aside his needs and his value.
Your tone
Jenny.
remained the same. Body language remained the same. You were very calm. So that's a lot during them interviews too. That you have to remain calm, focus. Your tone level have to remain the same.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so which conversation, our second question up here, and I'm going to pause for a second. I'm noticing there is a participant guide as well, in case you didn't see that in your folders. I see people with slides out. If you would like to take notes, there's a guide in here. I think it's on the left side behind the first page. If anyone does not have that, please let me know. That'll help follow along. Yes, I was supposed to do the pre-questions. Yep, thank you. Good thing we stopped. Yes, if you could, the sheet that was on top of that left side with the yellow highlight on it, if you could take a minute, and my apologies, and fill that out. It's a pre-training survey. All right, is anyone still working on the pre-assessment? No. Okay. All right, so moving on to our second question here. Which conversation would you rather have participated in? First one. It was a little more fun. Yeah, as a client, if you were receiving care, seems fairly simple choice.
It also depends, as a client, of course, I will go to the second one because it will be more calm. But if I'm a client like Ron is, I will be in this one because I don't want to be fixed. I just came from a reason and I don't want to be changed. I don't want to be listening to whatever the person is interrogating me for. I just come to say what I say, and whatever they tell me, I will do it.
Yep. And that's one of the benefits of motivational interviewing. So interrogation, which is what you're describing, that first session was interrogation, right? Just question, answer, and I'm cutting him off. I literally cut him off for a couple of questions because I didn't care about the content. I was done with my question. And that's not effective, for one. It doesn't give me the information I need. It gives me the information I think I need, but it doesn't. And it also puts the client on defense, right? We talked about it a little bit. He feels threatened by the constant questioning and even my tone or the way that I'm portraying those questions. So what motivational interviewing does is it kind of gets around the side of those defenses and invites the client, the person, into conversation and connection with you before they even realize they're being assessed. And you, as the person doing the assessment, you're able to introduce some of the elements of the assessment that you know you have to complete in a way that's non-threatening and invitational. And they don't even realize they're giving you the information that they are.
So how would like when I worked at Keystone and I had clients, right? Like they were like, how long is this gonna take? Like, let's get this over with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they wanted to get back to bed or go to work or whatever it was. So like, how would your style change if the client, because I feel like it's based on client, what they want too. So like if you got a client that's really empathetic and wants to change, they'd rather have style too. If you got a client that's walking in and be like, dude, how long is this gonna take? I'm doing this just to satisfy parole. What's going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you're feeling rushed today.
Yeah, like, so then they're feeling like they're making you feel rushed, and you're just gonna go off to what you did with scenario one.
Yep. But did you notice my response?
I'm feeling rushed. Yeah.
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 And I invited you into that conversation without you even realizing that I was doing it, right? So from that moment, I'm inviting connection with a person who doesn't want to connect with me.
Yeah. So that's how you're
And-
in that style.
Yes, and I'm also affirming and validating that he feels rushed and stressed about something. And that's going to come out because he's feeling it right now.
The context of style too.
Yep. And that gentle leading, that gentle invitation brings out a lot more than if I responded, yeah, we're just going to get through the questions real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I noticed when I was working there.
Yeah, it is. It's a valid concern. A lot of our clients, as you've mentioned, several you mentioned already, they come in already, if not outright hostile, already on the defensive, like, I know I just need to get through this to check the box so I can get to the next thing that I need to do. Yeah, good.
Sometimes, this type of clients that run bosses, when they're core mandated, you will get a lot of these kind of hostile clients because they don't want to be there. They have to come to the sessions and they just want to be fixed and they will ask those questions. How long it will take? How many times do I have to come in?
Yep.
And would you give me a certificate to take it to my probation and take it to board?
Yep.
And you won't get too much information from them, just
And
whatever
it takes practice, but that's where motivational interviewing really shines. Because once you practice the skills and are able to use those in conversation in real time, that person's defenses will slowly start to lower the more you meet with them and the more you practice this. Because again, motivational interviewing, it seems to set aside the task orientation. It seems to set aside what you need to accomplish to prioritize connecting with that person, which whether or not they receive it at that moment, they're going to experience that because it's different from what they've probably experienced with other people. I know, JJ, you mentioned that physicians typically, it's that first style. They're just getting the information so they can get to the next patient, right? So doing that over time slowly wears down, if not outright circumvents some of those defenses that they come in with. I think we talked about this already, but just in case somebody has other thoughts, what effect did each style have on motivation?
Well, Ron walked out of the session.
He did. Yeah, our session finished before I even got done with what I needed.
And I'm sorry, is your name JJ?
Yes.
Okay. He was like interested in getting services and resources.
Yeah, he was willing at the end. Yep.
But there was also a difference in the way he was interviewing both of them. So the first one, you were not welcoming at all. So he was kind of being judgy as well. So that definitely kind of just put that pause like, I don't want to continue this with you because I'm not connecting with you. You're looking at the paper and you're rushing. I'm trying to explain myself to you and you're just like, next question.
Yeah.
As to the second style, you were listening. And I was just feeding you information without you even going to the second question.
Yeah, thank you, Margie. And it is. That's the process. That's what we're here to do and to learn more about.
And your tone, right, wasn't collaborating with mine. And what made me even more madder, the person I was portraying, is that even I was in all mine, you still, even when you insulted me, you still was in this calm voice. And that sometimes will send a guest through the roof.
Absolutely. Yep.
And, that's why I ended that interview.
Yeah, it is. So the first one was obviously a caricature, right? We're not going to speak to clients that way. Right. But I've heard some other people speak to clients, not all of those things all at once, but I've heard some of those statements, right? Sometimes our minds might produce some of those statements if we're not catch it, and sometimes it might make it out. But if we reflect on the way that we're intending to connect with that person in that moment, what our intention, our purpose is for that, whatever that time is, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour or whatever, the conversation shifts.
Yeah, and when you said I got other clients, that like made me like, you don't even care.
No,
you know what I mean?
You don't matter. I've got 10 other people to see today.
I think that's what I was. You didn't even seem interested in the first one, and this person can immediately pick that up
From the start.
That person does not want to help me. They don't even care.
Nope. No. So why am I going to give you anything?
Yeah.
Yep.
And why are we even sharing that information with the client?
Mm.
That's our thing to deal with. Sorry, I'm doing some work in my head here.
Agreed.
So,
Yes, exactly.
Because when I've done this, I on the phone saying, "Hey, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you sooner. I was a very busy day." So what I just did to this person is I deprioritized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, deprioritize them.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm just now catching some things. That's what I said. I don't think I paid attention very well in the first quarter, so I'm just letting you all know. I said refresher at the beginning of this, but this is kind of newer too. I'm taking on in different eyes.
Yeah, you got a different perspective.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, JJ, and thank you, Heather. All right, we're going to go on to the next section. We're going to talk about some of the core skills, which is OARS is the acronym that the people who came up with this decided on. So the first one is open questions. The purpose of open questions is invitation of elaboration. So I'm inviting the context of the answer. Exploration of the answer and its context, and self-reflection for them. So I'm asking an open question so that they'll reflect on the information they just gave me. We'll talk about reflections as well. Some of the characteristics. They cannot be answered with one word, meaning they are not yes or no questions. A yes or no question, if from anyone who's had MAB before, what's a yes or no question? Instead of an open question, it's a
How are you feeling today?
Closed question.
closed question. Yeah, that's an example of a closed question, but yes, that's a closed question. Yep. If they can say yes or no or answer in one single word, that's a closed question. Now, that's not to say that every open question is going to get more than one word. Understood. We don't have time to go there yet. Second, it also encourages storytelling. Again, it invites the context of the answer. You're not just getting the information, you're getting the context, which if we take an answer outside of its context, we lose a lot of the meaning to the person, which for our purposes as a helper of that person, we lose a lot of the ability that we have to help them because we don't know the context of what their need is. Third, it increases engagement, demonstrates interest and value. They have value and I have interest in their value. And lastly, it helps evoke change talk. We'll talk about this quite a bit more, but there are two different types of talk in motivational interviewing. There's sustained talk and change talk. So if you notice, JJ especially gave me quite a bit of both. He gave me reasons to sustain his current behavior. And again, we'll talk about this and we'll process it a little bit, but he also gave me some change talk, and I selectively responded to some of the change talk while acknowledging his sustained talk. That's very important. Who would like to read those examples of open questions for me?
I will.
Thank you, Janine.
What concerns you most about this? How has this affected your life? What would you like to see change?
Thank you. So again, those are all questions that cannot be answered yes or no. The client can try to answer yes or no, but you're going to end up getting more information on average by asking questions this way. Another one that I did not put on here that's not technically a question, you may have noticed or heard me share it with JJ. I said, tell me what other people have told you about this thing that we're talking about. That one I enjoy personally quite a bit because it diffuses some of the threat of that question, because now I'm not asking about what they know about it, which is a test for their knowledge. I'm asking what other people have told them, which they can then put anything they're thinking or questioning, any concerns they have that they're not sure about or they feel self-conscious about, onto what someone else has shared with them, which takes away the threat of that question. So tell me what other people have told you about that. I use that one quite a bit. Practical application. So open questions typically begin with what, how, or tell me about. We want to avoid stacking multiple questions. If you noticed, I stacked several questions for Ron. How often do you use? What day of the week do you use? How much do you use? Stacking questions puts him in a position, again, of threat. There's too many things for his mind to focus on, and it shows my rush and my unwillingness to engage with him. This one, it can be difficult, especially early on in practicing motivational interviewing, because there's a natural response that we have. If the question didn't come out quite the way that we wanted it to, or we remember at the end of the question there's something else that we wanted to include in that, we might tack on an extra question. So tell me how you're feeling today, but specifically like the last hour. So I've just asked two questions. How are you feeling today, and how did you feel in this moment or this past hour? Again, that creates conflict for the client, which generates some distance. Typically, we want to use curiosity rather than interrogation. It's not a question and answer. I am genuinely curious about your experience. Can you tell me more about that? If you go in with that framework, that mindset as your overarching objective, you're going to engage with that client in a completely different way than if you go in expecting that you're going to get all your questions answered. Again, really subtle shift, but it produces completely different engagement behaviors. Next in our ORs is affirmations. So the purpose of affirmations is to reinforce strengths, effort, values, and resilience. Again, specifically with JJ, I'll be referencing this a little bit. You may have heard me affirm some of his challenge, but also some of his attempts, right? He moved all the way outside of the city. If you can affirm that shows commitment to something, right? He's still going back, of course, but he has relocated and gotten a new job in a new town that he does not have any connections in. That's a really big step. And in our assessment focus, we can completely gloss over that. Like, great, you probably have some community resource needs. I'll get you the paper. There's a whole host of needs there that we can explore that is going to help him in his goal. And just affirming that lets him know, hey, I see that you're trying, and I'm here to help. So the characteristics of affirmations, they are genuine and specific. We're not forcing anything. We're not trying to pat them on the back superficially. We're looking for genuine opportunities to affirm and validate their attempts, their strengths, their gifts, the things that we see in them. They are strengths focused specifically. This may require creativity in reframing for some of our clients. An example that I often use, especially when I'm doing groups and workshops, is, and especially with substance use, is manipulation. A lot of our clients at some point have been told that they are manipulative, especially if they've used substances. There's like a really low probability that they've never heard the word manipulation before if they're using substances. So manipulative, that comes with a lot of context, right? That word has a whole lot of baggage attached to it. So when they hear that word, there's a whole lot of stuff that comes up in their mind. However, manipulation as a word is just the ability to interact with something and influence it. It's a skill. It's been used inappropriately, but it's still a skill that's been practiced and reinforced over time. Now, they may view that skill as not valuable, not useful, because they've been told manipulation is don't do it. But for our purposes, the ability to influence the world around me for a beneficial outcome, that's not something that everybody knows how to do. So I can help the client reframe if they tell me, yeah, my girlfriend tells me I'm manipulative like every week. So you're influencing. Let's talk about influence. Let's talk about how we can use that skill to benefit not only yourself, but also other people. Again, it takes a very little bit of effort, but if we can help reframe their strengths, we're going to get a lot more, and they're going to gain a lot more having interacted with us. Lastly, it builds self-efficacy. It encourages that they are capable, and that one day, hopefully, they'll be capable, if not on their own, then at least with a community. Because part of our job, at least part of my job, is to work myself out of a job. I don't want them in my office every single day. I want them to be functional and capable and competent in whatever life circumstances that they've been drawn to. And affirming their ability when they've been told by so many other people that they're incapable is very valuable. All right, who would like to read our examples?
You have been trying hard to manage this. It took courage to come here today. You really care about your family.
Thank you. So our practical application, we are affirming effort rather than perfection. It's not a pass-fail. It's not a success. So a word that I often use is practice, especially when we're talking about skills. Are you willing to practice this skill? You've been practicing this skill. The words attempt, try, typically, while they don't necessarily mean this, typically in our context, they mean pass or fail. It's succeed or fail. If I've tried and I failed, well, what's the point in trying again? Because I've already failed once, or 20 times, or 30 times, or 40 times. But if I'm practicing, there's a whole different context with that, right? In practice, I'm expecting that I'm going to have challenges. I'm expecting that there's going to be a failure or a time when I don't necessarily succeed at the goal I'm setting out to do, but I can continue to practice.
I can try again.
Yep. I can keep practicing. Second, we want to be authentic. This requires some vulnerability early on. It requires you to set down the professional wall that sometimes we put up and share vulnerably about what you're thinking and feeling about that person, which in a lot of our more corporate style trainings, we're told not to do that. Like, keep yourself here. That's appropriate, but there's also space where you can vulnerably and genuinely share your perception of another person, their struggle, their gifts, their talents, their strengths, and what it took for them to walk in and sit down in your chair today.
Absolutely.
Lastly, we want to look for values beneath the behavior. This was another one that you may have heard me do with JJ. So community is important to you. He's going back down to Philly because there's a whole community down there that he's connected with, and he hasn't built a community up here yet. Affirming that gave me the opportunity to invite him into exploring community options where he has decided to place himself, which is a much healthier, relatively safer environment. Next is reflections for the R in ORS. We are demonstrating understanding and deepening exploration. These are statements, not questions. This typically diffuses some of the threat response that questions often elicit. So questions can be, especially in the interrogation style questioning, it can feel threatening. You're asking me so many questions, I'm giving you all this information. And sometimes questions aren't needed. Often questions aren't actually needed. A simple reflection will do. In Kevin's example, the client came in hostile because he's feeling frustrated and stressed. I reflected that he's feeling frustrated and stressed. I could have asked, what's frustrating you? What's stressing you out? That puts him in a position of having to answer a question, which puts me in the power of that interaction. By reflecting that he's feeling frustrated and stressed, I'm not only affirming what he came in with, I'm also just genuinely acting as a mirror for what his experience is. So he gets to look at what his experience is in his own words, which is very, very powerful, and we'll get more into reflections a little bit later. In our reflections, we want to hypothesize about meaning. What does it mean to the client, that thing they just said? And this is where we have to practice being wrong. We will be wrong sometimes when we're reflecting on meaning. Like if I were to say community is important to you and say, no, man, I'm a lone wolf. Great. That's good. Everyone, clients, will correct you. Gladly. And that gives you a lot more information that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten. Just from a simple statement that you then get to explore. We want to encourage deeper processing. I want them to process in the language that they use in their own mind. And me reflecting what they've said to me helps them to do that. If I were to try and interpret what they said and reflect back in some other process, that's different. I want them to hear their own words from someone else, because hearing it outside their own mind is completely different than just saying it out loud. Who would like to read our examples for reflections?
You're feeling exhausted from carrying all this. Part of you feels overwhelmed and another part wants change. You miss feeling connected with people.
Thank you, Cassandra. You may notice in that second one, part of you feels overwhelmed and another part wants change. There's a compound reflection in here, or a complex reflection. It gets at some of the deeper root of what they're experiencing in this moment and what they've recently experienced. It also does something very important. It acknowledges the sustained talk. I feel overwhelmed thinking about this process of change, but also, there's a party that wants to change. And the structure of this is really important. We're going to talk about this when we talk more about reflections, but I would like you to just make a mental note of that. All right, for our practical application, typically we want to reflect more than we question. The ratio when you're first learning and practicing this is 2-to-1. So if you want to set kind of a guide for yourself, you should be reflecting 2 times for every question you ask. Ideally, the goal is to get to 3 times. If you can reflect 3 things for every single question you ask, the client is going to feel safer, generally speaking and relatively speaking, and you'll end up getting more of the engagement that is meaningful connection rather than just the question answer back and forth. In the second one, I would encourage you to act even with fear of being imperfect. So again, clients will help you, correct you, and help you understand. So it can be terrifying to share vulnerably some of these things that you hear from another client. But when we do that, that creates space for them to inhabit. That is a very safe process for us. We want to, for the last point, our simple reflections build rapport, deeper reflections evoke insight. So when I'm just repeating what that person says, it does several things. One of the main things is it shows the client that I'm tracking with them. I'm here in this moment with them as it's happening and as they're sharing with me. My mind isn't off somewhere else. Whether they acknowledge that mentally or not, they're going to experience, I'm here with you, even though I'm not saying those words. That's one of the main purposes of simple reflection. So just repeating a single word, like frustrated, tired, overwhelmed. The deeper reflections where you're trying to probe at some meaning and some of the other pieces, that's where the client is going to have an opportunity to reflect and engage with some of the deeper processes that they may not even be aware of as they're saying those words in that order. All right, our last one is summaries for the S. The purpose of this is to reinforce momentum, organize themes, and transition conversations. You heard me do this with JJ. So I summarized most of what he shared with me. I was very selective in what I summarized. And all of that was oriented towards his momentum, the momentum that he shared with me, where he had projected away from the city. And yes, there were still ties pulling him back. But the summary was all of the things that he accomplished by just moving away, which then gave way to the invitation to discuss the MAT that he wanted to and came here for. So our key characteristics, it is used to pull together key points. This can be especially useful if clients get lost in the narrative. So your client who you ask a single question, they give you 20 minutes of their life story, again, for the 5th time. Summarizing pulls out the pieces of that story that are not necessarily relevant, but important to the client's change process at this time, and allows you to help them focus back on what the task is at hand. Because we still have to accomplish the task, we just go about it a different way. So summarizing captures the soup and translates it into meaningful change processes and action. It highlights change talk. So again, we are selectively responding to content shared. So I'm not going to go ahead and get lost in their soup in my summary. I'm going to choose specifically which points I'm responding to help them. It also shows careful listening. If I'm able to listen to that client talk to me for 5, 10, 20 minutes, or even 30 seconds, and summarize what they've shared with me, again, it shows I'm here with you right now in this moment. It's very, very valuable. All right, who would like to read our examples? Ron.
So far, you've described feeling stressed, disconnected, and wanting things to improve for your family. You're unsure how to begin, and you know you want things to be different.
Thank you. Again, that second one, complex reflection, acknowledging sustained talk, transitioning into change talk. So our practical application, we are periodically gathering themes. So you're connecting elements of the story, you're highlighting patterns, you're exploring in real time what they've shared with you and their experiences from the context that they've shared it in. You are including change talk whenever possible. You want things to be different. You would like to change. You're considering MAT. This is really important to you. Typically, you want to end with an evocative question if appropriate. So at the end of the summary, an example of an evocative question would be, where does that leave you? You've just shared all these challenges with me. You've shared this desire to change. There's a lot going on, and you're committed to what you'd like to do next. Where does that leave you? That puts the responsibility on them for interpreting some of the substance of that summary that you just shared. All right. Yeah, we'll go to the next one. So the spirit of motivational interviewing is called PACE. Starts with partnership and goes to acceptance, compassion, and evocation. Our description of the partnership is that motivational interviewing is collaborative rather than authoritarian. I acknowledge that you are part of this process with me, and we're going to do this together. Not, I'm going to tell you how it is, and you're going to go ahead and do it. Our key concepts, we're working with, not working on the people that we're visiting with and working with. The example that's often used here is dancing versus wrestling. If you are wrestling with someone, what's going on in that process?
Somebody will win.
Pardon?
Somebody will win.
Yeah, so somebody's going to win. So there's a contest. Yep. There's a struggle, right? If you're wrestling, there's a struggle, typically for power, in a sense, right? I'm trying to put them in a position of submission so that they do what I want them to do.
No trust.
There's no trust. Yep. And even if there was trust, it's been violated, right? Yep. How about dancing? What are the processes involved in dancing?
It's partnership.
Partnership. Yeah. Yep. I have to work with that person, or else we're probably going to trip over each other's feet or our own feet. Yep. To go back to the point you said earlier, there's trust, right? I trust my partner that they're going to move with me. They're going to follow my cues, or I'm going to follow their cues. There is shared expertise. So you may be an expert in community resources, in processes of change, in modes and ways to change. They are the expert in their life and themselves and what's going to work best. You can use those things together. You don't have to force them in submission to do what you know is best from what you've done, because they've never done that before. There's also respectful collaboration. I'm willing to work with you because you have value, and I know you can do this, and I'm here to help. So often this approach, this partnership, this expectation of partnership, it reduces resistance and increases engagement. It reduces resistance and increases engagement. So it may be kind of hard to see, but I have a rubber band up here. Is there any tension or any challenge going on for this rubber band right now? No. So it's hanging from a single point, right? So what happens when I introduce a second point? There's tension. You might be able to hear it. There's tension in that rubber band now. It requires 2 points for resistance to occur. The client is not the only one in resistance. If the client is sharing resistance with you, there's a reason for that. By itself, it cannot resist. It cannot be in resistance. Moving on to the A, acceptance. So the description is recognizing the inherent worth and autonomy of a person. I accept you as a human being with context and experiences and struggles and passions and goals. You are acknowledging their absolute worth. You're demonstrating accurate empathy. You're supporting their autonomy to act as a person, independent and in community. And you're affirming them. Not affirming the sustain, not affirming the challenges that they engage in necessarily. You're affirming that they have value and that the change is possible for them as an individual. This creates psychological safety for honest exploration. If that client, that person sitting in your chair does not feel safe, they're not going to explore with you, no matter how hard you try or try to wrestle them into submission to explore. All right, going on to the C for compassion. It is actively promoting the client's welfare. This keeps MI person-centered rather than manipulative.
Center.
Person-centered. Yep. So there's a quote on your handout there. Could someone read that quote for me?
MI is not a persuasion tactic. It is guidance in service of the client's values and goals.
What do you think about that?
It kind of is a persuasion tactic. I mean, maybe not. Go ahead.
No. I'm asking, I'm inviting what your thoughts are. Because this is a key sticking point for...
I'm trying to suss it out in my brain real quick what I just meant by that, but I guess it isn't. No, it's not a tactic. No, it's not. No, it's not a tactic. It's actually, if you're engaging on a real level, and no, it's exactly what. No, I agree.
You agree?
Sorry,
Okay.
it took me a minute.
It's all right, Peter.
Is it helpful to make a distinction between persuasion and maybe influence?
Influence, okay.
Which sounds a little gentler to me, but it's collaborative.
Okay, so influence is more collaborative than persuasion.
In my mind, it is.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Yep. 'Cause yeah, again, they're just words, right? But those words bring context and meaning that we're not even aware of. So persuasion, to persuade someone, I have to have an objective. I have to have a mission that they don't have. I have to persuade them over to my camp. Creates resistance. However, and in a sense, you're right. So these skills can be used inappropriately to persuade people.
Sure.
Absolutely.
You have to sometimes with this yeah.
Well, yeah, that's not where I was going with it, but yes. So what I was going to say is that people involved in sales are often trained in similar tactics, right? How am I going to close the sale? Their objective is the closure of that sale. Our objective is empowerment of the client's autonomy and change ability, right? Same, not necessarily same, but very similar skills, completely different objective and outcome. So the point and the contention often with all of these things, because they're seen in sales tactics, aggressive salespeople, is that our focus, our intention going into that with the use of these skills is different. Completely separate. So you're not wrong. It can be used in that way. I wouldn't recommend it. You're not going to get the outcome that you're desiring, generally speaking. And the client will not be empowered and
Maybe the short term, okay, there we met this goal, but
yep.
At the end of the day, if they don't feel empowered and in charge of their own lives, then they're not going to be vested in it.
Correct. Yes, investment. They will not invest in it, so you will not get the maintenance of change. You'll get the checkbox, and then that's done. Yep. All right, going to the E for evocation. We are drawing out the person's own motivations and wisdom. So they have motivations, they have life experiences, they have things that they've gained that we don't know about unless we explore it with them. Those are strengths that we're not tapping into unless we invite those strengths into the shared space. Evocation is one of the ways we do that. The other purpose of this is that people are more persuaded by what they hear themselves say.
Is that where the reflective listening comes in?
Yep. That's where reflection comes in. A lot of reflection. There's some other pieces to it, but generally reflection is where this camps, because if I hear what I just said in my own words from someone else's mouth, it's completely different than just saying it out loud myself. If the person sitting across from me says, wow, you've really come through a lot. I mean, you've had so much to deal with and you're doing it really well. That is something completely different than me thinking, yeah, I'm doing a good job. Similar words, completely different impact. So, and you have the ability to evoke that, to invite them into consideration of that ability that they've been given. All right, so some discussion questions. Why might advice alone fail?
Because you're giving them your perspective, what you think, not what they necessarily feel or think.
Yep.
Not coming from themselves.
It's not coming from themselves.
Yeah, I think we like put too much expectations and commitments on them.
Yeah, because I'm excited about what I can see, the potential I can see. I'm going to dump all that right on you, and you get to go walk away with all that weight. And I have no investment in what you think, because you haven't shown that you're invested in me. You look like you have a thought, Peter.
Advice is likely to be based on what we want for them, rather than what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. Very good.
More for them than they want for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think many of our clients also have received a lot of advice over their lives, and if any advice we give them probably just goes in the same bucket with every other thing anyone's ever told them.
Yep.
And it gets tossed away with the rest of it.
It does. It gets dropped in the bucket. That's where it all lives. Mm-hmm.
What I didn't hear you say to me when I was up there is, so what I'm hearing is, you didn't say that once, and yet I've heard that in other MI.
Yep.
That's not what we do though, is it?
No, and thank you for bringing that up.
I wanted to ask about that earlier,
Mm-hmm.
because that was kind of taught to me. That part I remember from my MI section is,
Yep.
so what I'm hearing is, and they look at you like you have three heads, and you're like, no, that's not what I said at all.
Yes. Yep.
So what you said, it was a direct statement,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're wrong, trust me, they'll correct you without
correct you.
making like you're a moron.
Correct. Yep. So yeah, the old style of MI, the original style was, what I'm hearing is, or it sounds like, we are prefixing all of our statements, all of our reflexes. Basically, it turns it into a question, which again goes back to a threat, right? It also alienates the client in my mind, or alienates me in their mind if I'm wrong. Because if what I heard was completely different than what they were trying to communicate, well, suddenly I'm not attending to them. If I'm simply reflecting what they're going to say, again, that gets around some of the barriers, some of the guards, and they're just going to respond with the fix, the change in what they actually said to correct you.
It gets tiring saying that.
It's exhausting.
I stopped doing it because
Yep.
it seems like I'm asking a question every time I'm making a statement.
Yes. Yep. Not only is it unnecessary, it actually actively harms especially when it's not accurate. Yep.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up.
Well, thank you for hearing me. I don't know.
You're welcome. All right. So our second discussion question, how is motivation different when internally generated? How is motivation different when internally generated?
When it's externally motivated, it's performative. So when you're internally motivated, you're driven.
Yes.
And it's easier to sustain.
Yes, it is.
When you're externally motivated, you can't sustain that.
Mm-mm. No, because as soon as that external motivation goes away, what happens?
Oh.
There's no reason to continue.
Why would I bother?
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Ashley. And it is. There's an important piece that she shared. It's easier to sustain. So external motivation is really effective early on. That's usually what promotes change, or at least initiates the change process. There's something in my life that someone else is telling me is not okay. I need to reflect on what that is. That does not sustain, because the moment they do something that pisses me off, I'm not doing this anymore. The moment that they alienate our relationship, who cares? I now have motivation in the opposite direction, because it was all based on them. However, if my motivation is internal, it doesn't really matter what happens with them. I mean, sure, it'll be supportive or vice versa, but it helps me sustain that change over time. So generally you want both, but internal is the one that we want to foster and cultivate and help them to build. Generally, since it was brought up with advice, typically we want to follow a kind of a template when we're offering feedback or advice. The old style was elicit, provide, elicit. Now it's ask, provide, ask. So that ask, provide, ask process invites the client to accept or reject the information rather than us just dumping it on them. So you heard me do this with JJ. Are you willing to discuss this process that you just shared with me you're invested in? He started to nod, and then I shared the information, and then I asked him, what do you think about that? Or what would you like to do with that? Where does that leave you? So you're inviting the client to accept or reject. Typically, they're going to accept, especially if you've demonstrated investment in them as a person. Generally speaking, they're not going to reject that information. But even if they do, you get to roll with that resistance. You get to roll with, okay, it's not really valuable to you right now, so let's explore some things that are valuable to you right now.
One more thing I noticed as well towards the end of our conversation. You said, I have some resources in the area. Would you be interested in those? And rather than open up your folder and pulling out name lists and keep pulling out recovery-based organizations and all that, here, check all these out.
Yep.
That can be a little overwhelming, especially if you're not ready for it.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I had stopped bringing my folder into the room months ago because it just wasn't. They say, hey, thanks, I appreciate this, and then crickets.
Yes. Yep. Or it ends up in the trash can outside your office.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
On their way out, like to check out.
Uh-huh.
Go right out.
Exactly. I have no investment in this dump that you've just taken on my life.
Yeah.
There's all this information, worthless to me, even though it's all valuable to and relevant to the goals that I just shared with you. It's
Because you never asked permission, you just assumed that you know what was best for the client, and here, you should check these out, is what you're saying, even though you're not saying it. Here, go to these, do this, and you're not, that wasn't what I was saying
right.
to begin with.
Yep, that's how they're hearing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, and it's fix-oriented, right? You've got all these problems, let me just fix them real quick so you can get out of my office.
Yeah.
Rather than, are you interested in these resources? Tell me more about what resources you're interested in. I'm not going to give you a packet full of stuff you're not going to use. That's a waste of paper and a waste of both of our time.
Right.
Tell me what you're interested in, and I'm going to give you resources relevant to those 2 things or 3 things or whatever. Yep, Stephanie.
I have a question. How do you balance all of this when you have to communicate program requirements? Like yesterday, Ron and I just told one of the clients that we share, Water Street's not going to condone you working under the table. It's not that you can't do it to earn a little bit of extra money, but for a program, you have to get a real job. You know what I mean?
That is a real job. How do you do that? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so you're exploring in a similar way. So obviously, programmatically, you have to hold to the structure, right? So you can set those expectations, but you can also invite the client into exploring why they chose to go that route rather than going the route that was recommended and hopefully clearly communicated to them. And inviting that in, they might tell you, well, nobody actually told me I couldn't do this. I signed the paperwork, but I didn't actually read it. Okay, well, let's explore that together, right? Yeah. Or, you know what, I've actually never had a real job. I don't know how to fill out a resume. We can do that together, right? Yeah. So inviting them into the process rather than slamming down the hammer and sending them on their way to go fix it. Yes, you have to set the firm boundary. Absolutely appropriate. But you then get to invite into the processing together.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, how's everybody feeling? Good? Anybody need a break? No? Okay. You noticed. All right. We're going to go on to open versus closed questions. So this one's fairly simple. You have a list, you should have a list, yep, of questions. Or I think one of them or 2 of them might be statements. So what I'd like you to do is take a minute, a couple minutes here, and just write O for open question or C for closed question next to each line based on what it is or what you believe it is. Is anyone still working on those 10 questions or statements? No? Okay, good. If you've gotten ahead of me and gotten into the rewriting, please pause. We're going to get to that in just a second. All right, that first question, how has stress been affecting you lately? Open or closed? Open. Did you go to work yesterday? Closed. What concerns you most about your health? Do you want to quit smoking today? Tell me about your support system. Mm-hmm. Notice that's, while it falls under our open questions category, it's not actually a question. Have you been sleeping better? Mm-hmm. What would you like life to look like 6 months from now? Did your doctor recommend counseling? How do you usually cope when things become overwhelming? Are you taking your medication? Fairly straightforward, right? Good. Anybody have thoughts as they were going through that list?
It's called a pattern halfway through it. I was like, all right.
Yep. Became more obvious once you started filling it out, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Stephen, maybe give an example how you would take a closed question and make it open.
Wonderful. So our next exercise, this is a closed question. Do you want to stop drinking? I would like you to take a minute. You can do it alone or with a partner and rewrite that as an open question. Would anyone like to share their rephrase?
Sure. And then I thought about this after I wrote it, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. What are your feelings about your drinking? Or excuse me, what are your feelings about drinking? But maybe I shouldn't have put your in there. Or maybe, is that what I did? Something like that, I'm not sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, it both would be appropriate. One, adding your would be more appropriate if you recognize that you've built some rapport with that client, because now you're making it really specific, right?
Right.
Which can be threatening, but coming from someone that they've built some trust with can be very, very valuable. Having excluding that your makes it more general and less targeted.
Right.
Which might feel safer.
Feelings, which is cool.
Cool.
And then I said about drinking, I did put the your in there.
Yep.
But then maybe later on you can.
You could.
Once you build a rapport and maybe a little bit of trust.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't include a your in the first session unless I've really built some relationship with that client, and even then I would put it towards the end of the session.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I did like a sentence. You mentioned that you want to stop drinking. What have you been doing to do that?
Okay, so what have you been doing to work towards this goal?
I'm basing my sentence with a previous session that the person spoke about that. Reframing to him what he says and just guiding to see what steps he has been making toward that goal.
You did. You actually reflected first, and then you asked a question, which is an evocation process. Yeah, wonderful.
I put, what can I do to help you stop your drinking?
Okay.
Put the ball in his court.
You did?
To open the door to him, especially if we have a relationship, he might come out with some ideas, then I'll come with some. You know, but open the door, like, what can I do to help you? Like, so, and then I get quiet and wait for his answer.
It does?
Well, I try to.
You try to. And I'll come right to you, Jenny. Real quick, that one, there's something you implied and assumed in the question.
Right.
What was it? Anybody?
He wants to stop.
Yeah, you're assuming that he wants to stop, which again can be very valuable. Use it sparingly because you may get some resistance because you're introducing some tension to that band by doing that. When you've built that relationship, that can be very valuable. Yep. Jenny.
I asked the question, is drinking a problem for you in your life?
Okay.
Is that open? That's an open question, right?
Can I answer yes or no to that?
Yeah. No.
So you asked me, is drinking a problem in my life? No, it's not.
And that's it.
And then it stops.
I thought maybe he would go a little deeper. Just a little bit more deeper than that.
Nope. Good.
You're absolutely right
Because
about
he
that
looked at that
question.
person that you
Because they currently,
don't have
someone
space
asked
to
the
ask
same
one
question to a client, and he told me, "Oh, I love that."
Yeah. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it.
I love it.
I love it. Yep.
But then you
Good. So some other ones, what concerns do you have about drinking? What role do you see alcohol playing in your life right now? There's another one that you can introduce some decisional matrixing where you're inviting them to consider what they enjoy about it. So what are some things you enjoy about drinking?
Right.
Now, what are some things that you don't enjoy about drinking?
Right.
Or enjoy less about drinking?
Mine would probably, after receiving the assurance that they want to stop, what benefits might you experience if you became free from dependence on alcohol?
Okay. So if they've shared and they've invested in that, letting you know they're feeling the weight, yeah, that would be appropriate, and it can help them dive a little deeper. Yep. Same consideration for the others, right? Be careful in using that just because it increases tension in the band. Yep.
Yeah, I love that example that you gave of, I mean, I would have never thought, what do you enjoy about drinking? You know, just like to ask someone that, because it feels like almost as if I'm saying, oh, it's good that you're drinking, but really what it gets at is like, hey, this is what I'm seeking out from drinking, right? And there are healthy ways to seek those things, right? And now all of a sudden that we both understand this is what the client is looking for, then we can start to say, hey, are you interested in exploring, other options to those things? Right?
Exactly.
And it builds that rapport and that trust. Like, oh, he gets me. He knows this is why I'm doing it. He's not just saying, oh, stop it.
Yes.
Right. He understands more of the heart behind why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah. It gives you the context, and that context helps me understand what the needs are, because then I can explore those with that person. A lot of our clients, or a lot of the people we work with, they've never been taught or seen how to have fun sober. Some of our clients, they started using when they were 6, 7 years old. They've never experienced fun or enjoyment sober. They don't know what it looks like. So asking them what they enjoy about that process will give you a lot of context that you can then explore and invite them into considering.
I have asked some of my guests in the show, how do they feel? What is the difference they feel being sober and not? So that because yesterday I was talking with one, and I was asking those questions. How do you see yourself today that you're not under the influence?
Yep.
What do you see? Do you see something better? Do you see clear? Do you see other opportunities for you? And he just thought about it. He said, well, I've never seen myself in this state.
Nope. No, and that's an important point to connect with Matthew's point. I may not have ever considered what I'm after in drinking. I've just always drank. But you're now inviting me to consider that in a non-threatening, safe way that no one's ever done before.
In that specific case, he was telling me that even though that he haven't used for a short period of time, he said, I keep asking people, what can I find? I haven't had the opportunity, but he reflected that, I haven't used it and I didn't stop to think, how do I feel?
Yeah, why would I? It's just what I've always done. Yep, absolutely. Okay, I think we've kind of done this in real time, so for the sake of time, we're going to skip that next section, the creating to and creating to open and close questions, and go into the reflective listening. So this is a model of reflective listening or reflection. So the purpose of reflection, again, is to reflect content, meaning, and deeper needs. Up here, this is an inverted pyramid. So up here is content, what happened, the values and the meaning underlying what occurred and why I chose to do it, and then the core needs that I'm pursuing, whether I realize it or not, based on what matters to me and my actions. So typically in our reflections, we want to use content reflections most often. You're feeling tired. This is really challenging for you. You've come through quite a bit. Things that reflect the higher level, and often it's just the same word they used. If they give you a couple of sentences and the core theme of that sentence and something they say right in the center of it is, man, I've just been exhausted lately. Exhausted. That is a sufficient reflection. You are demonstrating that you're tracking with them, that you're attending to them, and inviting them to continue. And reflections also can tie into what's next. So we'll get down here in just a minute on that. Less common, we want to use this sometimes, is reflecting value and meanings. So why it matters. What value is in that? So they share with me another 2 or 3 sentences about their life recently, and they talk about how they've been spending all this time with people in their life. Community is really important to you. That would be a values reflection. You really care about independence. And then least frequent in terms of our use, but often the most powerful would be our core needs. So you're reflecting identity. You're reflecting some of those intrinsic aspects of them sitting in this chair in this moment and taking into account their context. So we'll get into this a little bit more with the next exercise we're doing. An important point here, our last point on this slide, is that the last thing that we emphasize in our reflection is what's going to trigger the next statement, typically speaking. So I called out when we were talking about the ors and then our pace discussion that there were a couple examples that had a very specific structure. They had the sustain talk, an affirmation of sustain talk, or affirmation of challenge, the word and then the change talk. So I do have an example here, good. Actually, you might have it on your sheets. So the last element emphasized in a reflection is often what the client responds to next. The last element. So I'm going to invite someone to read that quote in just a minute, but I'm going to read the same quote just restructured, and then I'd like to invite you to notice the difference. You really want peace, and you're feeling exhausted from all the pressure. You really want peace, and the pressure is making you feel exhausted. Now, could someone read the quote on your paper for me?
You're exhausted from all the pressure, and underneath that, you really want peace.
Thank you, Cassandra. Which of those did your mind attach to in each of the statements, the readings? You're exhausted. Typically, we attach to the last thing that's emphasized. And we may do this, right? We may talk about some things they've been through and some of their change, and then we end on, but you're feeling really tired right now. They're going to focus on, I just feel exhausted. And then they're going to go off into more sustain talk. If you acknowledge the sustain so they know you've heard them and end with the change, they're more likely to respond with that change talk or deepen the change talk. So this can gently shape and evoke deeper exploration. Additionally, silence is most effective when paired with a reflection. So about Stephanie, I think you wrote down the time that we started with. What was that time? Can you remind us?
It was 29 seconds.
29 seconds. So it took about 29 seconds or about 30 seconds for JJ to break the silence. And I appreciate you doing that for us. In your own experience, what was that silence like? Anybody?
Curious.
You were curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awkward.
It was awkward.
Yes.
Yep. I said we were starting, and then I sat down and did nothing. Yep. Anyone else?
Honestly, I wasn't paying attention.
I appreciate your honesty.
Because I was trying to help Cassandra get comfy and have a chair, so
Wonderful.
I apologize. That did take longer, guys.
I thought you were waiting for Kevin to get the video working.
Okay. So you assumed I was waiting on him. Good.
I thought you were waiting for us to look at you.
Okay. I was waiting for attention. Very egocentric of me. John.
I was curious because I imagined immediately that was part of that was kind of a beginning part of the exercise. And so when Judge just said it's a test, I was like, oh, I knew it.
So you felt affirmed that you were right.
Yeah.
Yep, and now you're probably feeling more affirmed because I circled back to it, right? Did you start to say something?
So yeah, I was gonna say like just from a past life, trauma comes up because I feel like you know in my childhood, I just wanted to meld into my own skin because silence was never good. You knew that something really traumatic was coming, so I always just wanted to melt into my skin, be invisible. So that's what I tried to do. And Janine was like, I'm like trying
to shoo her away.
You know what I mean? Like, do not make eye contact.
Yeah.
But no, it was perfect because she brought me out of that. You know, it was kind of cool because I still find myself reacting to certain triggers or my past traumas, and it's just you know that for me, I believe in God, so that's just God kind of pulling me back out of my.
He's inviting
my
you.
inner self. So it was cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yes.
Because it was just it was just an entire experience. And it's crazy what you can go through it within yourself in 29 seconds.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
That felt like hours for me. It was time stopped. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you very much for your vulnerability.
And it happens, you know, I do patient therapy too, and it happens when, you know, you're in a session and there's that silence in there and the reaction of the person because they see what is this? You know? Why is not asking? I get a lot that why are you not asking any questions? And yet, you know, it's like that awkwardness.
Feels awkward. Yes. And go ahead, Jenny.
I knew it was part of the exercise. I was on to it.
Okay.
I said, just be quiet, Jenny.
You were coaching yourself not to break. Yeah. Margie.
Honestly, I thought he was waiting for someone to say a prayer.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
in my head. So I was looking down because I didn't want to be the one.
Yeah, you didn't want to make eye contact because the moment you make eye contact,
So how wild is that though? Because if you would have showed up in that moment and actually prayed, the little girl inside of me needed that. Like how weird, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know what anyone in the room is going through. So
No.
I think that was just proof of like, don't ever hesitate to always follow your gut. Like I always keep my mouth shut too, but so many times more than none, I'm like, man, I should have spoke because it was like there's something inside of you pulling. Like you thought that was time for prayer. No one else was thinking that.
it's an invitation.
You understand? I would just take that initiative because you don't know in that moment who you could have saved.
Yeah. And it's a personalized invitation that at least, you know, she received, right? And that's some of the value. It's very uncomfortable as a human to sit in silence because we expect, often we expect things to happen, right? So you all did quite a bit better than the average. So the average amount of silence that a person can tolerate is 10 to 15 seconds before they fill that space. So JJ broke that for us about 3 times or two or three times the average, right? And some of you may have already been inoculated to silence, so you're comfy in it, but silence is a very valuable tool for us, especially if we pair it with a reflection. So for instance, community is very important to you. I'm not going to fill that space. I would like them to fill that space. It also, I know they're feeling a little awkward and an impulse to fill the space. So if I've just reflected something, especially values or core needs, their mind is full of that reflection that I just made. So their own thoughts and feelings that are bubbling to the surface at a deeper level, a deeper processing level, that's what's going to come out because they feel prompted to fill the space. So if I fill that space, I've suddenly cut off all that processing that can happen in real time. So if you can practice silence, I'd highly recommend it. It's very, very valuable. Uncomfortable, yes, and also very valuable. All right, next is an exercise, reflective responses. For the sake of time, we're going to skip splitting into groups. So I'm just going to invite you, if you want to do this with someone next to you, you can. If you want to do it by yourself, that's fine too. Just go through each of those 5 statements and try to create a reflection based on the statement that client gave you. All right, we're going to begin processing these. If you didn't get a chance to get to all of them, that's okay. Starting with the first one, we'll take 2 examples for each of the statements. So starting with the first one, who would like to share their reflection? Okay. You ended on an inflection, so you made it a question.
When?
Said
Well,
you,
my voice did, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I was unsure about my answer.
Correct.
So,
yep.
So if I'm, all right, let me try that again. You don't like being directed or made to do things.
Good. Yep. And I know you were doing that because you were.
Right, but yeah.
Yep.
Just get in the habit of not doing that.
Correct. Because that's what we do. We turn a reflection, we add the at the end, and then it turns into a question.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Like the teachers used to say, are you asking me or telling me?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. So that reflection, which of those does it fall into? Which category? The 3 layers there.
I guess it would be content.
Hmm.
Oh, here we go again. Yeah, boy. Content. Yeah, I'm saving my chest.
There you go. Yes. So yeah, you included a lot of content and you started to broach the boundary of values and meaning.
Correct.
Yep. Good. Matthew.
I said, you're tired and seeking independence.
Wonderful. And which category? Which level?
Some content, because I'm just repeating that he said he's tired. Some of the values underlying, he's tired of everyone telling him what to do, is showing that he desires.
Yep. Seeking independence. Yes. Excellent. All right. Second one. I know smoking is bad for me, but it's the only thing that helps me relax. Who's willing to share their reflection? Ideally, someone we haven't heard from yet. Yes.
You find that it helps you unwind, but mentally you're aware of the dangers.
Find it helps you unwind. Yep. And can you read it one more time for me? And everybody note what's in the center of that.
You find that it helps you unwind, but mentally you're aware of the dangers.
Okay. So there's a but in there. And that's not wrong. However, but introduces a stop point. So but creates a conflict between those two statements. Typically in MI, we want to introduce and, because that's inclusive. So but is, well, either one of these is true. And is both of these can exist and we have space for both of them. We understand that they're both here. Let's explore together.
But when you put the but there, it breaks the question, it breaks the statement in 2.
Yep.
So that now you choose which, okay.
Yes.
I put but to every one of mine, so I realized that.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah, and it's very common. Often, but is a very, very common part of our vocabulary. And we typically introduce that into statements like this. Because for us, we're constantly weighing and evaluating. And but is a weighing and evaluating conjunction.
The only reason I remember about but is because I heard that one time, and now I just tell my kids anything they tell me and then they say but, I'm like, anything you said prior to that doesn't even count.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So.
Yep. You're discounting everything before the but and focusing on what's after.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
I find that enjoyable and knows the consequences.
You find that enjoyable and you notice the consequences. Okay. Good. And you're affirming, right? Talking about substance use, I would assume you find it enjoyable and you notice there's consequences. Yep, so you started with sustained talk and conjoint change talk. So ending on the change talk, the client's most likely to respond to that. Yep.
What about the word while?
Why?
While.
While.
Yeah. So I say you seem to enjoy smoking while acknowledging that it's not good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so that's closer to the and, right? So while is while. It's concurrent. They're the same, they're happening at the same time.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So if you don't like the word and for any reason, while is an acceptable alternative. Good. All right, statement number 3. I want to be healthier, but I never stick with anything. Peter.
You want to be healthier and want to learn how to sustain healthy habits.
Okay. So you're really hammering the change talk. Yep. You want to be healthier and you're wanting to explore healthier habits. Good. And which level does that go? Which layer?
I probably values.
Okay.
Because they value.
Yeah, they value health, right? Yep. Good. All right. Second one. Anyone?
You find it hard to commit to activities, even the healthy ones.
Okay.
I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
Look, I question a lot because
Yeah, you're processing in real time.
Somebody else answer, please. There's 6 people I haven't heard from. I'm done here.
Yeah, I would like to hear from somebody else, but can you read that one more time for me?
Yeah. You find it hard to commit to activities, even the healthy ones.
So you're acknowledging and affirming that they're struggling right now. Yep. What's not present in that? Read it one more time.
You find it hard to commit to activities, even the healthy ones.
What's not present in there? Change talk. So it's not necessarily wrong. You're reflecting, but you're reflecting.
Did you say bud? Sorry.
It's all right. See, it's natural, right? So you're reflecting their content, what they've shared with you. You're exploring some deeper stuff, and you're the core. Let me do this a different way. What would be the most natural response to that statement?
Anyone.
But I want to be healthy.
But I want to be healthy. Okay. So you didn't include change talk in that. There's nothing in that that reflects that the client wants to change. However, depending on your relationship with the client, you might get change talk out of it because you're reflecting the sustain. I would encourage including some sort of change talk towards the end of it. You're more likely to get change out of it because it's not every client that's going to respond, well, no, I want to change. Some clients are going to say, well, yeah, it's been really hard and I don't feel like doing anything.
Kind of.
Not necessarily. No, it's the way you approach it. So you're affirming, right? That would fall into an affirming reflection. You're affirming that they have been struggling recently. It's just recommended to include some change talk that they've made.
Could you give me an example of changing this to make it a change talk as well?
Sure. Read it one more time for me.
Okay. You feel it. You can't read mine already. You find it hard to commit to activities, even the healthy ones.
You find it hard to commit to activities, even the healthy ones, and you recognize that you really would like to make a change in your life.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's what you said.
Is the but okay there? Could you say what he said and say, but you do want to change. You do desire to change.
I wouldn't recommend it. It seems natural because it's something that we typically do. The issue is you're creating tension between the client's words, and some clients will perceive the but as a discounting of everything before it. All right. I think we did 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. All right, statement number 4 from someone who has not shared yet. My family keeps pressuring me to change.
Your family cares about you.
Your family cares about you. Wonderful.
You have support.
You have support. Yep. Stephanie, I think you raised your hand for a second.
Well, I don't know if this is right, but you're feeling boxed into one thing right now, and your family is important to you.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's acknowledging that they feel pressured, right? Which usually that pressure puts me in a tighter space. And they have a support system that's actively invested in their lives that they're not seeing because they're feeling so threatened.
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Statement 5. I miss how things used to be before everything got so stressful. Someone I have not heard from yet.
I didn't get that one.
Okay. I know this is at the end, and we started a little sooner, so you may not have gotten to that one yet. So,
At times you feel that your past was better, and now you feel that it becomes stressful to think about.
Yes. Yeah, and you're introducing an element of change that is negatively oriented towards sustaining their current experience. Yep. Excellent. All right, I'll use this one as an example. So a content reflection of this statement. I'll read it one more time. I miss how things used to be before everything got so stressful. So a content are most often our core reflection up here. You've been overwhelmed lately. A values reflection. You miss feeling balanced and connected. A core need reflection. You're longing for stability and peace.
So is it only supposed to be like a couple words, or could it have been a sentence that we responded with?
Could have been a sentence.
It didn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter, no. So reflections can be anywhere from a single word or to, I would limit it to one sentence unless you're doing a summary.
Okay.
Yep.
What about a haiku?
That's more of a summary.
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. All right, we're going to transition into our ORS real play exercise. So this one is required to get into groups of 3. So if you came here with people, you're welcome to group with them. I would encourage you, if you're willing, to explore branching out and finding some people that you don't know, if there's anyone at this table that you don't know. So I'll give you about 30 seconds to find a group of 3, and then we'll go through the instructions together.
I'm gonna branch out. I'm gonna branch out.
Yeah.
One, two, three.
We got to find a third.
Does anybody need a third?
There you go.
Yeah.
You're able to identify.
Do you know her?
You can have it.
Oh, thanks.
Does somebody need to share?
I'm going to see when I want to press.
So what I hear
Wait, that's what I had learned before. But apparently that's.
I'm there, you guys.
All right, it looks like everybody has found their groups of 3.
Either of you probably have more.
Okay.
Everybody's found their groups of 3. So we're going to go through the instructions very quickly.
I do this every day, but I learned about doing this.
What are we supposed to do?
We're going to go through the instructions together, and if anybody has questions, we will explore them, and then we'll jump into the exercise. Sound good?
Okay, what do you want to read?
Okay. So there are 3 roles, and you'll take turns as time allows in each of these roles. There is a client, an interviewer, and an observer. So the client instructions. Actually, let's take a moment and decide in your group who's going to fulfill each of those roles this first time, and then we'll talk about the instructions so you know what your job is. All right, so everybody has a client in their group. Everybody has an interviewer, everybody has an observer, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the client, your instructions. Choose one lifestyle area from the list below you might realistically consider changing. There's a nice list there. You're welcome to pick one. You may share as much or as little as feels comfortable. I would encourage you to avoid like traumatic sharing or getting into painful histories. That's not the point of this exercise. In terms of a scaling, so a scale of 1 to 10 with 10 being traumatic experiences, we want to stay at about a 2 or 3. Okay? All right, interviewer questions or interviewer instructions. Your task, use only OR skills. What are OR skills? What's O? What's A? What's R?
Reflections.
And what's S? Summaries, thank you. So you are limited to those skills. Okay? I would encourage you and ask you to avoid advice giving, avoid persuasion, and focus on curiosity and listening. Your goal in this exercise is to help the client explore their own thoughts and motivations. Observer, your instructions are to track examples of our OR skills. There is a space on your worksheet as there's an observer tracking sheet down here at the bottom. Your job, every time the interviewer does one of these things, just put a little tally mark or a check mark or some way for you to track how many times they do it. And then if they do it really well or really poorly, I would ask you to write down the example, because both are valuable in our process. Both are valuable. If they do any of the OR skills really well or really poorly, if you can write down the example, okay? So you're just putting a simple tally mark for every time they do it, and then you're writing an example from that time of something they did. All right. I'd also encourage you to note any moments of connection, any missed opportunities, if there was something the client said that they could have reflected or shared, any examples of change talk, and then specifically non-MI content, unsolicited advice, directions, or feedback. Okay? I know that's a lot to track, so don't worry about catching all of it. I would encourage you to catch themes. Okay?
Are we supposed to all do all three or just one shot?
Yeah, ideally we're going to rotate. Again, it's time dependent, and we're already getting there. Actually, this is I'll keep track of the time. It's a really good opportunity. Thank you for that. Does anybody need to leave right at 12 o'clock? Great news. Okay. We'll have, if we're not ending right at 12, we'll take a break right after this. Okay, and I already.
Steve, what time is lunch coming?
We're notifying them when to bring it. So they're currently planning on a time, but
gotcha.
Yeah. All right.
He's really concerned about lunch.
All right. Before we begin, does anybody have questions about any of the three roles? Wonderful. All right. So then I'm going to start a timer. When this goes off, we're going to change roles. Don't worry about processing the experience yet. Just change roles, and then we're going to process at the end. You will have 5 minutes. All right, time's up for the first section. All right, so we're not yet processing. So we're gonna go on to the next set. So rotate. So fill a new role, a role you haven't filled yet. Go ahead and take a couple seconds to decide what you're going to do. All right, does every group have their roles assigned?
I space out, so if I see a butterfly.
All right, everyone should have their roles assigned. Everyone should have their roles assigned by now. Yep. All right, I'm going to start the timer. Go ahead. All right, time's up for our second set. Go ahead and rotate, and you should have one role left.
Correct.
All right, time is up. Time is up. Yep, time is up. All right. If you can return to where you came from, if you moved.
After a good meal one day.
Guys, you're welcome.
He's like, you sure?
You didn't do nothing back there.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So overall, thank you. Overall, how was that experience? Clunky. Yeah, it felt a little unnatural. It was hard. Yeah, it's difficult. It's a new skill. And you're being watched.
Right.
By a room full of people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It felt like I was waiting for it. I was like, when is this gonna be over?
Mm.
But then I was thinking about we're all meeting with clients all the time. We're
Mm-hmm.
doing some of these things already.
Yeah.
So
Yep. So you're able to enter the client space a little bit. Like they might be thinking, when's this going to be over? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think being observed when I was the client, nobody introduced me the observer. The person was in there, and nobody said who the person was in there. And it makes me feel more like not to share more about it.
Yes. There was a presence in the room that was not talked about and made you feel, well, wait a second, who's this person? I'm not sharing what I need to share. Yep. And we often don't consider that when we have people join our sessions. Yeah, Ronnie.
And as a client, a possible client, I was upset because they wouldn't let me like go to the bathroom. She was offering me treatment right away. I was like, let me go to the bathroom. I can't come back tomorrow. Addict mentality.
Yeah.
And but she kept her cool and she encouraged me to like stay there. But one thing she said at the end, we all bust out laughing. She said, "You're gonna have to empty your pockets on the table." I was like, "Miss, I'm out of here
again." Yep.
The thing is, she encouraged me, like, she didn't look at the addict that I, was or is in
the session.
She looked at me as a human being who needs help and didn't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
And that's what she said.
She saw you.
Yeah. But the observer, I don't need them in the room. Thank you.
Yes. And as I was walking around, I heard some of the conversations. I heard that some of you were playing it very easy for that interviewer. Some of you had a lot of fun with that interviewer.
It was nice that we're all three different hats in a setting, all three different seats.
To get to see. Excellent.
I think too, I was an observer, then the question, I forgot which one I started with. But at some point, as I became the person questioning or talking to the client, I also had the observer in my head. I observed, kind of do my own observation of what kind of questions I'm asking. Basically trying to predict what he's going to write down as an observer.
So you had that little checklist in your head and you were thinking, okay, now I'm going to use a reflection. Now I'm going to try an open question.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. And that's very valuable in the early practice process. Yep. Good. So as an interviewer, what felt natural? In the interviewer role, what felt natural?
I think welcoming people and trying to keep them comfortable, not asking too personal questions, just getting to know them more about what they came here, not about their other issues. Just want them to feel comfortable sharing what they brought them here.
So inviting the client into the space. Excellent.
I don't know if they felt like that.
I could agree with that. It felt really natural just to conduct eye contact and maintain that and feel comfortable inviting them into the space.
Yeah.
And allowing it just comes natural. I get that compliment every day at work. People are like, "You're just so inviting." I'm like, "What?" Because inside I don't feel that way. But sometimes I feel awkward and standoffish. So it's awesome to know they enjoy feeling that welcoming. And a lot of times I just bring it in with a hug. And I honestly, in this field, expected to be really negatively recommended for that in some aspects or manner. We deal with a lot of clients that we're in mental health and recovery and transition and reentry. So it's a tough crowd. I can say that because I was there.
Yeah.
And I've never had not one negative. There's never been one single person that didn't hug me. Nobody.
Yeah.
Even the toughest of tough.
Yep.
There is a time and a place, and you don't just go in automatically. But I will say that the compassion and the empathy and just the love has really molded me into the role that I'm in today, and has allowed our clientele to feel safe, comfortable, at peace. And I don't know if you guys felt that, but I felt that with both of you. Super safe, super comfortable, natural. I felt like we've talked a million times before.
Yeah.
So
the willingness to make space for someone else.
Absolutely.
Felt natural. Wonderful. What was most difficult in the interviewer role?
I would say going from a reflection, moving forward in the conversation without making an unsolicited recommendation in the process.
Yeah.
Just being like, I affirm, I hear what you're saying.
Yep.
But then allow it, like not moving into, and this is what I would do if I was in your situation.
Yep. Almost like you had a dog on a leash just waiting to go. Like, I just got to give you some feedback right now because I can see your problem and I can see the solution. Yep. And that's wonderful that you were practicing attending to the fact that it was there and choosing something different.
That was me too. I find it very insightful because I've been where I've not been kind of roles you guys do with addiction and recovery, but interviewing and just conversation. So I felt it was really interesting, just a little bit I've learned today. I know the power of words, but I never realized how big between and but and what that could make a person feel like. So it was just, I could feel myself talking to myself and I was trying to be engaged, obviously, as they're sharing their need to be fully listening, but saying, don't say, but just say, and, right? You know?
Yeah.
So to me, this has been very helpful.
Yeah, wonderful. Yep.
I understand the importance of the silence part. That's so you can formulate your next. I was like, I was like, how do I want to put this? So yeah, I expressed that with my group too. I was like, I get the silence part. Just shut up a minute and figure out how you're going to put this. It doesn't sound judgy or suggestive, and then you want your individual to feel valued. And I concentrate a lot on what has worked for you in the past. And then I kind of honed in on that. I tried to anyhow when I was being the interviewer.
Yeah, so bringing in past solutions. Yeah, but it was difficult pausing.
No, actually, I found that the most helpful.
Oh, okay.
The silence, the pausing was great because then it allowed me to say, shut that part of the brain off, say, we're not going to give suggestions, we're going to give reflections, and then the summary of it all.
Yep.
I had to have her open up oars again. I was like, open it up please, so I can keep looking at it.
Yeah.
So I knew where I was
to be
at,
reminded.
what I wanted to accomplish at the end without making it seem rushed and hurried.
Excellent.
And yeah.
And as kind of a meta processing, so coming out of this discussion for just a second, I reflected something to him and I intentionally got it wrong. Did anybody notice how he responded to it? He corrected me. Did you feel threatened by my reflection?
I don't even remember it.
So no.
Apparently somebody did. No, I didn't.
So no. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. It matters what you say, but it doesn't matter whether or not you get it right or wrong. The way you go about it, inviting them into that conversation, they're going to correct you and steer you back into the right course. So the fear of, I don't want to get this wrong because they're going to think I'm dumb and I don't know what I'm doing, allow that to exist and also share what is there because they'll correct you. Good. All right. Clients, what responses felt most helpful to you?
Can you elaborate a little bit?
Sure.
About that?
So when you were the client and you had an interviewer, was there a particular response that your interviewer either really reflected to you or asked you that you felt was most helpful? Where you kind of mentally like, yeah, that's right on.
I think when I was the client invited me to with options that they can offer me with my issues, you know? Not imposing me, just giving me the the choices that they have. Which one was what should I pick and choose about those?
Yeah, the invitation while retaining your autonomy. It's your choice. You get to make it, but here's some information. Yeah.
For me, what I said coming from someone else's mouth. Like you said,
the reflection.
I didn't notice it until just now.
Yeah.
Because I had said about the cost of tobacco or nicotine products were just, and the health risk and all that. She reflected back on me the cost, which that's always in my mind because we all know how expensive things are.
Yep.
I just choose something that I'm actually trying to work on, so it makes it easier for me. Then I don't have to sit there and fake it.
Yep.
And
that's what I asked you to do, so well done. Thank you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
I don't listen very well either.
No, you're right on it though, right? Because it matters to you, and so you were able to get more out of it because it's something you're personally invested in, and she was able to help you to develop that in real time.
In real time, exactly.
Excellent. Margie.
For me, it was on when he said, I was the client when he said, what can we do? So the word we is like we're together in this, this journey.
Yes.
So that was the highlight.
Yeah. And it's such a simple fix, not a fix, it's a simple switch, right? Just like and but. Replacing you with we is collaborative. It's not, oh, you're going to go fix this problem you have. It's, we're going to work on this together. Yep.
I was gonna say, with complete transparency, it's funny as like the interviewer, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what John needs, you know, this, right? But then as the client, and I present my issue, you know, like 2 young kids, pregnant wife at home, can't sleep, drink too much coffee, you know, like I see my problem as so complex, right? Yep. And so I'm not looking for a simple solution because I understand it's not simple, right? And so to have Janine just like listen to me and say, hey, you know what, I can affirm that's a really tough season of life to be in right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh, I feel validated, I feel safe, I feel like that's a place I can move forward in. But then as the interviewer, I'm like, oh yeah, like this is your goal, like like in my mind, I'm like, oh, you could do this, this, and this. But just kind of verbally processing that out, just to say like it's very interesting from the interviewer versus the client perspective. Just being careful what we're bringing into that.
Correct. Yeah. Yes, and that's why context is so important. I know I've talked about this a couple times, but you don't have the client's context in your mind until you invite it into the space. So you see all the solutions because you don't know all the problems that exist. Until we bring that in and invite that into the space, we're never going to know how to meet them where they are. And so it's really valuable, as you said, to take a moment and consider what are some of the costs that I don't know, that I'm not aware of? What are some of the benefits they're gaining from this that I'm not even, don't know exist? Good. All right, moving to observers. Which skills were strongest? Which skills did you see from the ORS skills were most used by the interviewer that you were observing?
When I was observing, I heard a lot of open-ended questions, affirmations, and reflections.
That's quite a lot of them. Excellent. Excellent. Anyone else?
As an observer, there was quite a few closed-ended questions, but for some reason, it still elicited a lot of response. It's still, because apparently our client was just gabbing. So, and she, no, but it was really good. And
very willing client.
I think when I was being the observer, the interviewer did a very good job of complex reflections and summaries. And I was really impressed with that because when I was looking back at what I did, I think I had missed some of that stuff. So it was good to see it all. But that's what I noticed.
Thank you. And that leads us into our next processing question and our last one before our break, so don't worry. Haven't forgotten. What stood out to you most as the observer? What stood out to you most as the observer? When you were observing, what stood out to you most?
I think like JJ's empathy, like he was making a couple of suggestions, but it just felt like I don't know, very natural and like, you know, have you tried this? Have you tried, like it didn't feel like, well, why haven't you tried that? You know?
Yep.
I feel when Jeannie was interviewing Ron, is how cool she kept all the interview when he was becoming hostile. You know, he was getting rude, and she still was, you know, cool, inviting him and giving him, you know, some suggestions that even though when she told him that clean your pockets and it wasn't, it seemed rude, but it wasn't in an inviting way that he didn't see it, you know, because he was in another level during the interview, because he wants a fast solution for his issues. And she was giving him, you know, what are the steps in order to get him down to his problems that
Yeah. So she was willing to meet him there and break it down into steps that were more manageable than what he was the pace he was trying to maintain.
Because if it's me in that position, I think they will escalate fast and have to go down.
Janine, I saw your hand up.
I would like to say, like, with my group, it was really good, so thank you guys. I noticed that each one of us ended it with like a positive affirmation to let that off with that person. It wasn't just like, well, that sucks for you, whatever. If you didn't even, it was like something positive, like to encourage the person.
Excellent. Thank you.
I noticed how all of us, it was so unnatural for us to do this at first, but then we kind of fell into it. It was only 5 minutes, but fell into a rhythm. I know for me, I was like, I had to watch the ends, the butts and the ends. I had to watch a bunch of different things. Apparently, even though I goofed, apparently my empathy won out in the end. But no, it was very unnatural from the way I have been trained and shown how to do things. In observations when I watched the doctor in the room with the patient.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what we do in our first visit. We just get through the paperwork, then we build a rapport later. No.
Nope.
No, let's not do that.
No, because you'll lose that client, whether they keep coming back or not.
Doing that and started building a rapport to begin with, and got a lot of the paperwork and stuff done secondary.
Yeah.
Which is a double-edged sword, because if they don't come back, then I'll have the paperwork, and as well as I do, if it's not documented,
Didn't
never
happen.
happened.
Yep. Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Again, what we were taught, if it's not documented, it never happened.
Nope. All right, so we are going to take a, let's say 10-minute, actually, let's take a vote. 5-minute or 10-minute break? 5-minute vote, raise your hands.
10 minutes.
All right, 10-minute break. So we're going to come back at 12:05. When we come back, we're going to get right into it because we've got about 10-15 minutes before they're going to bring lunch. So I'd like to do the final section and wrap up before lunch comes. We may push into it a tiny bit, but then we should be ready for lunch. So go ahead, come back at 12:05. Okay, so for the next little bit here, we're going to talk about how to evoke change talk. So we've talked about how to identify and respond to change talk, but what if you're not hearing it? What do we do to help clients bring it out? So on the left side here, and I believe at the top of your handouts, there are 10 strategies to evoke change talk. Who would like to read the first strategy for us?
So what worries you about continuing this pattern?
What worries you about continuing this pattern? Yep, and this would be under the heading ask. Yeah, go ahead.
Ask evocative questions.
Yeah, just ask a question. Ask something that's going to encourage them and invite them to consider, perhaps in a way they never have before. An example of this that's been brought up a couple times is, what do you enjoy about using? It's not something that they would normally think about. Yep. Number 2.
Explore values. What matters most to you right now?
Yep. So inviting a deeper engagement and also connecting with them right now in this moment as it's happening. Number 3.
What's the worst realistic outcome? What's the best case scenario if things improve?
So you're asking for extremes, because often a barrier to change talk is, well, the worst, in my mind, I know the worst is going to happen because it's happened every other time. But inviting that out into real space and saying it out loud and then having it reflected, the worst case scenario often isn't really the worst case scenario. We can imagine a lot more than what's actually going to happen. And if you notice, there's a specific order to those questions. What's the order?
What's the worst and then what's the best?
Yeah. So we're inviting sustained talk, and then we're inviting change talk. Yep. Number 4.
Look back. What were things like before this became a problem?
Yeah. What were things like before? Considering, was there an aspect of life that you enjoyed, that was challenging? What led into this? What did it cost you? Yep. Number 5.
look forward. If nothing changes, where do you see this heading?
Mm-hmm. That's very useful for a client who is sharing with you, I have no intention of changing this. Where do you see this heading? Have them play out the rest of that sentence and tape. Yep. Number 6.
Explore goals. What would you like life to look like a year from now? What would life look like if you...
Mm-hmm. Inviting imagination in a positive change-oriented direction. Because often our imaginations run rampant with all the worst-case scenario possibilities, which is sustained talk. Those are all reasons to stay exactly where I'm at right now and not do a single thing. Yep. Number 7.
Use scaling questions. On a scale from 1 to 10, how important is this change? What made you say X and not X?
So I know there's a little formula in the end. I didn't promise that we weren't going to talk about math, but so the first question is the scaling question. So what made, or on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this to you right now? That's really standard question. The follow-up question, regardless of the number they choose, is why did you choose that number and not a number 2 or 3 lower? Because they're going to give you a whole bunch of reasons, change talk reasons, why they would like to make that. Yep. You can also ask it the other way, depending on what you're trying to invite. So if you're in sustained talk and you're asking a sustained talk question, for instance, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to keep this current status, this current behavior, this current whatever, fill in the blank, right? And they give you a number. So what made you say 4 and not 7? And they'll give you a whole bunch of reasons for change. And those pairing and the order is really important. Get them to lock in a number and then invite them to consider why they didn't give you a different number. Number 8.
Explore confidence. What gives you even a little confidence you could do this?
Mm-hmm. So notice I'm not asking, are you confident you can do this? Closed question. And it's assuming they're feeling confident right now, which they probably aren't. So asking it this way, very similar question, but it's framed as an invitation to consider what they could feel confident about in this process. Because they have strengths. Hopefully we've talked about them. And we get to help them apply those strengths to this problem. Number 9.
Reflect, change, talk. You really want things to be different. This is important to you.
Simplest one on this list, right? They're giving you change talk, just reflect it. If they're already giving it to you, just notice it and give it back to them. Number 10.
Ask permission before offering information. Would it be okay if I shared an observation? If you're willing, I have a thought I can share.
Mm-hmm. Again, you're asking permission. You're ensuring and protecting their autonomy as a person. You're not assuming they want all the information that you have in your head that is going to fix all their problems, right? When we get into that rut, you're inviting them to make the choice. No, I'm not ready right now. Or, yeah, I'd like to hear about that. And that ask, provide, ask is really important. So you're asking for permission, you're providing the information, and then you're asking how they're going to apply that, what they're going to do with that information, how that information changes their experience or their problem or their, you name it.
Because just because they're sitting in your office, whatever, doesn't necessarily mean they are fully committed to changing those or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, in my own life, there's changes I want to make. At any given point, my motivation fluctuates. I'm really motivated for it right now, but tomorrow, I'm not even feeling it. So you don't know where they are. Even if they've shared with you, yeah, I want to make this change, doesn't necessarily mean in that moment, if it's that session or a different session, they're probably not in the same space. So you're kind of polling where they are today and helping them to see that it's possible and that the next step is there. All right. For the sake of time, I apologize, we're still on. Okay. So up here, we have the acronym. Who's heard the acronym DARN CAT before? Yeah, anybody who's done MI training, right? This is like core MI stuff. So DARN is the first part of this. It is desire, ability, reasons, and need. So this is preparatory change talk. If you hear, I want, I could, it would help because, I need to, those are all preparatory statements, meaning I haven't started this process and I'm considering it. The cat is mobilizing change talk. So they have taken action or they're in the active process. So commitment, I will, activation, I'm ready to, taking steps, I already started. Generally, any client in the process or movement of change is going to give you both of these. Our job and part of our purpose is to identify where they are and reflect them back so they can hear it. Very powerful for someone to hear in their own words that they have just made a commitment to a change, or they've already started a commitment to a change. Any thoughts or questions about Darn Cat or the 10 strategies before we move on?
For the query extremes, how would you recommend asking that without question stacking?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is two different questions.
It is.
Like, would it be like ask, wait for their response?
Correct.
And then
Yes. Yep.
Not just be like, what would be the worst and best?
No. No, if you combine that together, you're going to get a really muddled answer, and it's going to be really hard to move on to the next piece. So yeah, I know there's not really a space or an answer between those questions. Those are two separate questions, just like the scaling, the ruler question, right? What number today? Those are two separate questions. You're waiting for a response in the middle, so you know what to respond to.
Okay.
Yep, good question.
So on number 4, looks like, it came to my mind that some of the people that we deal with, their problems have always been there. It's not like there was like it's maybe a physical disability that they were born with, or they had for as long as they can remember. And so how would you advise going about it that way? Because I feel like that is specific to something that started at some point that can go back before that.
Yep. Yeah, it absolutely assumes that there was a start point prior to their awareness, I guess. So in that instance, I would recommend using any of the other 9 options.
Okay. Okay.
Why did you say 9 and not 8?
I think when in our part in the Water Street Mission, we have most of our clients, they want to stop being homeless. Some of them, when we ask what they have been doing in order to change that situation, some of them, for example, I have one that is working and he has his family also in the shelter. And he wants to, this is the first time that he's been keeping a job for more than 2 weeks.
Wow.
So, and I was framing him that part that, well, at least just keeping a job, save money, because he also is nice to spend money very compulsively. And he's going to that cat part. And yesterday, actually, I was talking with him about that. The steps that he's been doing and how he sees himself in that. What help can we provide to him and his family in order to achieve what he's looking for? Because in his case, he was dreaming about a big house that he's not able to afford. And I was giving him like real opportunities. That 4-bedroom, why don't you go to 2? Because it's still very little.
Okay.
So and then build from there.
Yeah. So trying to break down his goal into realistic steps, accomplishable.
And he seems to be committed. He's ready to change and also going in the steps.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes in the next weeks.
Yes, and it's encouraging that you're attentive to those statements he's making that indicate that he's already mobilizing his change talk. Yeah. All right. So the next one we are not going to have time for, unfortunately. I would encourage, you have the worksheet here, so It's a valuable exercise. It's kind of a training tool to help you start to identify some of those darn cat elements, to just recognize change statements in real life statements that you might hear from a client. Some of these are absolutely things that I've heard from clients I've worked with. And then I would encourage, on the right side of that worksheet, there's an MI response. So based on the change talk you heard, how are you going to selectively respond to that process to help them get to that next step or just realize what they've just said out loud? Yep. Okay.
Real quick, on the last page, it says people are more motivated by hearing blank reasons.
Oh, yeah, we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were.
Yep.
Okay.
No. So this single page worksheet is what we're skipping.
Gotcha.
Yep, we are gonna do the last one, which is our kind of final summary and debrief here. So our key takeaways. Motivational interviewing is collaborative. You're working with the client. It's respectful. You're preserving and protecting their autonomy as a person, demonstrating that they have value and purpose. You're evocative. So you're evoking some of that change talk that they either are not aware is there or they haven't heard it the way that they've just said it out loud before. You're inviting them into that process. It's also person-centered. You are focused on them as a person rather than the task you need to accomplish with them or in spite of them, oftentimes. Yep. The core skills. Who can remind me of our ORS skills? What are they?
Open-ended questions, affirmations, summary.
Good. Okay. Why do we use open-ended questions instead of closed?
Because we're evoking a response. We need more information.
Yes. Context. Absolutely. Yep. How about reflections? What are the 3 types of reflections or layers of reflections? Content. It's the top one, right? That's the one we use most or least often? Most often. Good. What's the next one under that? Next layer. Values. Meaning. Yep. That one we're using a little more often. Yep. And then the deepest one?
Core needs?
Yeah, core needs. Yep. That gets into some of the identity, some of the pieces that they need as a person, not so much the processes they need to get there. Yep. And about how many reflections do we want to use compared to the questions we're asking? Ideally.
2 to 3.
2 to 3. Yep. Start with 2 because it can be challenging. And often in the early stages, your reflections will come out with an inflection, making them a question. Yep. So practice and work up to and have a goal for yourself of 3. 3 reflections for every question. So the challenge that I set for myself when I was first learning some of this is I have a question I want to ask, so I need to get at least 2 more reflections because I just asked a reflection. So I would hold that question until I had reflected, which was challenging, but it helps.
And pay attention at the same time.
Yep. It really stretches. It really stretches your mind. Yep. All right. Next, we are evoking change talk. That's the darn cat. I know we went through this quickly. I had intended to spend a little more time on it, but if you have questions afterward, I'd be happy to process with you. And lastly, the core skill, we're supporting their autonomy. We're inviting them as a person with context into a process that's going to help them change and better their lives. Not necessarily task-oriented as our objective, though yes, our jobs require tasks. But if we can align with them as a person, the task is going to be much more accomplishable. We're going to get a lot more out of it, and they're going to benefit much greater from it. A couple things, and this is not on your worksheet. So we talked about advice a little bit. I'm going to run through this really quickly. If you have questions, I'd be happy to talk about this after. So there are some things that are helpful before. We talked about the ask, provide, ask. So before giving advice, there's some helpful questions like, what would you most like to know about? Rather than saying, can I share this type of information with you? What would you most like to learn about based on what we just talked about? Right? What have you noticed that concerns you the most? We're talking about drinking. What have you noticed about drinking that has concerned you the most? That's an invitation to then reflect. How do you understand whatever the problem or the concern or the solution? What do you know about, or what have other people told you about MAT? Which was the next one. What have others told you about ... whatever that thing is that you're intending to offer them information about? What are you doing well at? Understand what their strengths are and what they perceive as their strengths in this moment, because that helps you orient the information you're going to provide. Because you can align it with what their strengths already are, rather than trying to get them to enter and train a whole new set of skills.
When somebody gives you like a vague answer, like, because we have that question in our a week after the person comes to the shelter, we ask that question like, what are you good at? And some people just, for example, I'm good playing chess. Chess, it's called a chess, right?
Yeah.
Like, in my case, I'm expecting, other answers. So,
yep.
What will be your recommendation in that? Because I'm homeless.
Excellent question.
I have addiction.
Yep.
I'm unemployed.
And I'm good at chess. Yep. Excellent. So this is where, personally, I find this a lot of fun. I really enjoy, almost like a detective, finding my client's strengths. And if you approach it with curiosity and creativity, there's a lot that they're giving you in that statement. We're thinking board game, but what does chess require? To be good at chess requires concentration. What you said, right? Yeah, thinking ahead, forethought, planning. What else? Strategy. Competition. You have to be willing to compete against another person.
To learn, because it takes a lot to learn how to even just move the pieces.
It does. Yeah, just the basic process of playing chess, let alone being good at playing chess against other people.
Taking time. I'm waiting.
Taking time, patience. Yep. So we just identified, 7 strengths from playing chess. So your client doesn't think they're giving you anything, or they may think that's everything. You get to reflect those strengths. This is where it requires some creativity on your part. Consider, what are the strengths that are involved in that thing they just told me about? And then reflecting those, they may not have ever connected chess with those 7 strengths. And you saying that out loud just empowered them as an autonomous person to take the next step with those strengths.
Just something real quick. To go with that, I picked up something the other day from Dairy Queen, and the girl in there messed up my order, and she forgot all kinds of stuff. And when I went in, I wanted to be mad, but I wasn't. But anyway, I asked her, I was like, girl, how long you been here? Like, get it together. And she was like, 3 months. So anyway, long story short, she said, I rushed and I'm trying to please people and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. And so I just took a deep breath and I looked at her and she walked over and I was like, so stop trying to please people. Do your job, do what you need to do, and just focus, take a deep breath. Because you'll never please everybody. You know what I mean? So just like a moment like that for her to share. And then she was like, thank you so much. And I'm not like hyping myself up. I'm saying like, you're right. If we just listen to the words that they are telling us,
yes,
it can make a huge difference.
There's so much there that they're giving you. Yeah, but again, our task filter, we're filtering out all that valuable content and context just so we can check the box. Yep, and it's wonderful when we can take a moment to demonstrate that person matters. Excellent example, thank you. All right, after offering advice or feedback, some potential questions. What do you notice in these results, or what do you notice in this process? Reflect, encourage them to expand on what they heard and what they picked out of what you just shared with them. Because often we'll give a packet or a handout, or we'll talk about something and they walk away with a completely different understanding than what I just thought I shared with them. Because that's my context that I'm assuming, right? What strikes you as most helpful about this? What sense do you make of this? What does this mean for you going forward, or where does this leave you? What practical steps might you take? So to get to the last fill in the blank here for JJ, people are often more motivated by hearing themselves argue for change than by hearing others argue for it. All right, so lunch is out here. I'm not going to keep you from it. We have 30 seconds left. So I'm going to skip to...
Can we just wait and be silent?
Good. Yep. So I'm going to ask one single open-ended question rather than the couple that I prepared for processing. And I'm going to leave it to you to decide whether or not you want to answer it out loud or if you want to just reflect on it. What stood out to you most about our conversation today?
I'll say I personally enjoyed the way you broke things down, and it was worded ways I've never heard it worded before, so thank you for that. Yeah, teaching is definitely one of your strengths.
It's
Because
God-given.
not everyone can present things that way, so thank you.
I'm delighted to share it.
It felt like a collaborative effort, and if I can do this with the clients, I can already see the benefits of this rather than checking off boxes.
Yeah.
Because if they're vested in their recovery, weight loss, tobacco cessation, whatever it is in their life, if they're vested as well as you are, and you're not really a cheerleader, but you're just showing them, hey, we're in this together, whatever I can do to help. And that, I don't know, just the whole way, yeah, she's right. Part of a teacher, you did very well and gave me a lot of insights. I sat through a 16-hour training of this like last year and the year before. I got more out of this one, I think, than that one.
Yeah. And you see the value not only for yourself, but also for your clients.
Right. Plus, this is a smaller class and I was engaged, and I like this.
That helps. Yeah.
Right.
Stephanie.
I was gonna say, I think like the parallel process, like as we saw, like with our own things that we want to work toward, like then we can figure out how to help our client.
Yeah, if I have a personal investment and I'm experiencing it, there's tremendous value in understanding that, because it's one thing to just talk about it, but if I can walk away with an experience, that completely shifts my perception.
I think for me, because I do this on a daily basis, sitting with people one-on-one, it's like to reflect what are the questions that I'm asking people and when should I stop and let them to reflect in themselves and share with me more instead to be more impatient, trying to get information from them that they're not ready to share.
Yep, so slowing down your process because they're going to benefit from that. Yeah, thank you.
I think for us, a lot of the times we get guests that because they have an action plan, they can just yes or no every question. But with this model, we can, as we demonstrated earlier, we can get more out of them without following the kind of institutional structure, if you will. If we kind of take advantage of the information they're presenting without them realizing they're presenting it. So I was outside talking to Ron about how some simple statements in a one-on-one with someone that's trying to go in and out could actually be a lot more helpful to them and to our discussion together if we get a little more creative and slow down and actually use this model to generate a discussion and answer those questions.
Yeah, so you're seeing opportunities where you could almost realign the assessments you're doing or the way even you're asking the questions that are on the piece of paper, rather than asking it the way it's on the paper, shaping it as an open question or even a statement might help elicit more of that change talk that you know that they're going to benefit from and that you need. Thank you. All right, in that case, I'm going to find out where Tim is. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. If you could take 30 seconds and fill out, another 30 seconds, and fill out your post questionnaire. It should be on the back of your pre-questionnaire. And we will collect those.